Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Hey, what is happening, YouTube? I've got a wandering panel guest. He's wandering all over. Now, see, I was worried about having my lights low for Craig, and look, he turned his lights out, so there you go. I was saying to Tom earlier, I look like shit right now because I don't feel that great, and I had the lights off and was just using, like, the TV light. I was like, man, I'm kind of, like, hidden in the darkness, so it'd be kind of
I don't
weird.
know. I'm trying to find the balance, you know?
You're good there. You're fine. You can see him.
Yeah.
Not a problem. No, there you go. That's cool. So, the League of Fine Gentlemen has reassembled after lots of world traveling, right? We've got Mr. Tom Draper next to me this way right here. Below me, we've got Mr. Craig Behrhorst. And these guys, literally, no joke, have put a lot of air miles on in the last month or two. Well, it's been about, let's see, it was the end of July, right? So, August, September. Yeah, about 2 months, two and a half months since we last convened. And Craig, we'll start with you real quick. You were in Australia. If you want to give us a thumbnail, you talked to us, but feed everybody or fill everybody in on what you did the last month. My summer vacation, right?
Yeah. I just snuck in my last bite of dinner, so excuse me. But yeah, man, I was in Australia. It was great. I was there on holiday, and me and my wife went, and we were there for 3 weeks. I'd never been, so it was a good time. Went to Melbourne, which is a great city, and then we went to Sydney, and then we went up to north to do the tropical thing, and it was great. I was telling you guys a second ago before we went online here that I had dinner with Angry Anderson from Rose Tattoo and a couple of the guys from the band, and so that was really special. We hooked up. They live in the Sydney area. And
how old is he? Is he like pushing 70?
I don't know, but he looks great.
Mm-hmm.
He sounds great, and the band's still active. So
No kidding.
You know, it's a challenge. You know, he was telling me that, you know, you come over to he want to play more in the States, but, you know, getting these visas for the guys is just
so expensive.
Yeah, it's just so expensive. It used to not be like that, man. And
they can't make any money doing that at all, I would think.
Yeah, you know, you want to get as many of the original guys as possible, you know, to come over, and then they make it hard for you, and they make it costly. So, you know, sometimes you can't get everybody over that you like, and it's kind of it's a drag for the band because they want to play together with as many original guys as possible, or many, you know, authentic guys in the band, and then the fans want to see that as well, you know. But if you're going to come over for 5 dates or whatever it could be, or, you know, I mean, it takes 5 dates just to pay the visa money back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if not
crazy.
more. So
I saw
anyway,
the one.
Yeah, he's great, and he's a fantastic guy, and love Rose Tattoo. Nothing but great things to say about them, and it would be great. They know they were supposed to come here to the States, but COVID messed that up. So hopefully they'll come back.
Cool. You did that one shot, the Thin Lizzy shot. Where was that at again? Was that in Sydney?
Oh yeah, that was in Sydney.
Was that in front of the Opera House? I can't remember. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
That was pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Considering we did the last time we were together, we did the Thin Lizzy catalog. So tonight we're going to do Rainbow. Tom, you've been traveling a little bit too. You did some touring. You did a big, a big festival in Pomona back in August, I think. What's going on? Spirit is just kind of quiet now, right? There's no major things till next year, maybe.
There's nothing happening whatsoever right now. Maybe some shows next year, I think. We had our album release in August, and we did a trio of shows in what do you call, what part of the country is like Arkansas, northern Texas, and Oklahoma? Is that
central? I guess it would be
Mid-South, maybe? Mid-Centrals. We did 3 shows there where it was like 105 degrees Fahrenheit outside everywhere we went, which was awesome. The shows were good.
They call that the sticks, Tom.
Yeah.
They call that hillbilly hell, probably something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up playing Tulsa twice in the space of like 4 months, and I think we've now played in Little Rock twice, and I think it's our second time in Dallas as well, maybe third. I'm losing count. Lots of shows.
Oh, that's right. You were in Tulsa. I tried to hook you up with Josh.
Yeah, he went quiet.
He had to work. Cool, man. How's the album doing? Do you know? Any idea?
I got no idea.
No idea?
No. I've seen some good reviews, but it doesn't seem to be translating into live work. So, just hanging out at home.
You're just a hired gun, right?
I don't know.
Well, I hear there's a band in San Francisco that's looking for a guitarist for a gig this week or something like that.
Yeah,
so
I heard something like that too.
That would be cool. That'll be a lot of fun. So, guys, we're here to talk about this band here. We're here to talk about Rainbow tonight. Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, which it was called that for one album. Then it became Rainbow. Then it kind of went back to Richie Blackmore's Rainbow for the final album. 8 albums in total. And I guess what we'll do is we'll start with Craig. We'll start with you, and we'll find out like what you and I are the same age, so we probably had very similar entry points for this band. Where did you kind of come into the Rainbow, the Rainbow thing? When did it happen for you?
So my friend Luke Bowman, he was the drummer in Ruffians, my metal band Ruffians from the 80s. And his older brother, he had an older brother who was about 5 years older than him or so. And he was totally into all the hip stuff, all the deep stuff, right? The Deep Purple, the Montrose, the UFO. So he turned us on to that first album. And he had saw the band, I think, on that tour too. Like, I think they might have played like Berkeley Community Theater. But anyhow, turned us on to that album, me and, his younger brother, Luke. And we heard Man on the Silver Mountain, and that was it. We were just blown away. It was probably late 77 or something like that. And right when I'm, getting really submerging myself into heavy rock. And I was just blown away, man. And you hear the riff, and then you hear the voice, and it's just, the substance of it all was just like it felt like it meant business, especially after segueing from bands like Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple. It just really struck a chord. So I just was totally into that. And then of course got into Rising, and then that's kind of how it happened. So
do you from my experience, I did not know that Richie Blackmore was in Deep Purple. Now I knew about Deep Purple because
shame on you.
I know. Like, I lived in this cul-de-sac in Houston, Texas, in the 70s, the mid 70s, 76 to 80. And this sorry, Tom, I'm gonna bump in front of you and we'll get to you in a sec. Because it kind of ties in with what Craig was saying. Excuse me. My next door neighbor was a kid. He was about my age, might have been a year or two younger. And he had a sister that I was kind of eyeing up a little bit, right? And he would always fucking play Deep Purple Made in Japan, which is, it's a banger of an album, right? Banger of a live album, live. And, I'd hear this Sweet Child in Time and Space Truckin' and, Highway Star and all that. And I totally dug it. That was one of the first, like that and Zeppelin and those formative 70s bands were the first bands I recall after Kiss, right? I mean, Kiss was my big gateway. But what I really remember was hearing Man on the Silver Mountain then, like you, Craig. And probably in that same era, 77, 78, 79. I can't say exactly when, but it was in the late 70s. And I'm just like, man, that voice, that. And then, like around the time that I got into them, which would have been after the first album came out, they put out Long Live Rock and Roll. And that one I really, really remember because that song in particular was very prevalent on radio, and that iconic to me. They have two iconic covers. The first, the second, and the third albums, but that iconic cover kind of always grabbed me. And suddenly, I find out the guy that's singing for that band is now singing for Sabbath with 1980s Heaven and Hell. So it was all kind of confusing, but I never really knew that Richie Blackmore was the guitar player in Deep Purple until maybe like 80 or 81. It was like really bizarre for me. So that was my entry point, probably the late 70s, like you, Craig. We're old men, so we have that kind of thing going, right? How about you, youngster? We're experienced, yeah. How about you, young whippersnapper?
September 2001. Same guys who got me into Thin Lizzy. I joined the band when I got to university called Fire Garden. And the bass player and singer James and the other guitar player Jake were enormous Deep Purple fans. Like everything on the Deep Purple family tree, they knew about it and they loved it. So they're telling me about like Medusa. They're telling me about like the 70s Whitesnake stuff. And they made me a cassette when I first joined the band of cover versions to learn. And two of them were Temple of the King and Long Live Rock and Roll.
That's a good entry point right there, man. So those are the first two tracks you didn't actually hear Man on the Silver Mountain like Craig and I. Later.
Probably like a week later or something. I would probably not a great deal of time because I thought Rainbow ruled, and I went out and bought that. That's not working because
we can't see you with that back. There we go. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Rainbow Greatest Hits CD. It's as far as Greatest Hits CDs go, I think it's a pretty good one. It covers pretty well.
Pretty much everything you need is right there, right?
Yeah, and then as soon as I love this as well on the inside. The Deep Purple family tree.
Yeah, that is cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, those backgrounds are tough if you don't have an actual green screen.
I do not have a green screen. But I guess that was it. And I remember when I first joined that band, my favorite guitar player was probably like Richie Sambora, and Jake was like, "No, man, there's going to be a Richie. It's got to be Blackmore."
I agree 100%. And I don't actually mind Sambora. I think he's a really good guitar player. Got a better voice than John Bon Jovi. Probably would be a better frontman actually. But Blackmore is the Richie, man. He's the Richie to go to always, right? He's the GOAT. It's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I forget how it came about, but I'm like, as far as the core group of we were doing a thing on Van Halen the other night on Van Halen 2 versus Fair Warning. And I said, the canon of most important or pivotal guitar players in the history of guitar, Hendrix, number one, obviously. You could go Django and some of those guys, but for modern rock and metal and all that stuff, it's Hendrix, it's EVH, it's Yngwie, it's Dime, it's Randy. I fucking left out Richie Blackmore, man. That is like I've
Richie, Michael Schenker, and Ulrich Roth.
Schenker and Uli. I mentioned Uli, but I didn't mention Schenker or Richie. So
Angus Young, Kirk Hammett, Slash.
Those guys are a little bit later. I don't know. To me, if they're as important, but to you, they might be. But I think there's like a core foundational group. But this guy right here was one of the OGs. He was right there along with within a year or two of Hendrix. Actually, if we go back into the Purple catalog, the first Purple album was 69, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm sure if it was 60s for sure. Probably could have been earlier.
Might have been 68 or 69. So you're looking at, this guy was around. Was he doing the stuff that he was doing in the early 70s? Maybe not. They were a little bit more of a weird kind of quasi prog band with Rod Evans in the band.
Yeah, I'll say like 67 for sure, man. Like that was pretty early. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let me do a little brief, quick snippet of history here, and then we'll get into these albums. In 1973, Blackmore steered Deep Purple through a significant personnel change, with Ian Gillan and Roger Glover being replaced by David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes. Great lineup. However, the new members were keen to add their own musical influences in the band's sound, some of which were not to Blackmore's taste. During the sessions for the 74 album Stormbringer, Blackmore found his request to record the Steve Hammond penned Black Sheep of the Family turned down by the band. On the subsequent tour, Deep Purple were supported by American band Elf, with Blackmore being especially impressed by their singer Ronnie James Dio. Still wishing to put his interpretation of Black Sheep of the Family to record, he decided to record the song as a single accompanied by 4 members of Elf, Dio, bassist Craig Gruber, drummer Gary Driscoll, and keyboardist Mickey Lee Soul. The sessions went so well that a full album began to take shape, with Blackmore and Dio collaborating on original songs. The album, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, was recorded between February and March of 1975 at Musicland Studios in Munich, Germany. The band name was inspired by the Rainbow Bar and Grill in West Hollywood, California. Following the positive experience of recording with Dio, Blackmore decided to leave Deep Purple, playing his last show with them in Paris, April 1975. The album met a positive critical reception and was a top 20 UK and top 30 US hit. Blackmore's departure from Purple was announced on June 21st. So we got this one. This is number 1 in the canon, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. Really cool, pretty iconic cover. Yeah, I'll pull you guys all up. I got the lame one. Sorry, here. Tom's got a good one.
Good man, Tom.
There we go. Still has the shrink on it. Good Lord. Is that an OG? It's Polydor, right? Is that
this
OG?
one has my let's see if I can figure it out. Has like my writing my name on it, I think, somewhere.
Did you?
Yeah, like right here. It's like
Oh yeah, nice.
backwards.
So that's an OG from back then. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
it's like, when you're a kid and you put your name on your album.
Yeah, you think somebody's gonna come along and steal it, or your
Oh
kid?
yeah.
What is it? What is it? Oh, there it is. Nice.
Love it.
Did you buy? Was that used, Tom? That you got? You're muted, I think.
Yeah, it was very much used because I was born 7 years after this record came out.
Well, no, but I thought maybe you grabbed an OG copy and shrink or something like that somewhere, or a reissue.
I think it was just shining because I've got a big bright light on my head.
Oh, okay. All right, so this album comes out. We'll let you go first, Tom. This album comes out August 3rd, 1975, recorded February 20th through March 14th, 75. Musicland in Munich, Germany studio. Comes out on Oyster label, which is interesting. In the UK and the rest of the world was Polydor. The original vinyl release had a gatefold sleeve, although the later budget reissue on Polydor. Is yours gatefold, Tom?
No, mine's the budget reissue.
Okay, yours is the budget reissue.
Gatefold.
Ah, look at this guy showing us up already. There nice.
Wow.
Nicely done. I love that picture of Richie Blackmore, man. That's so badass.
And this picture over here in the middle with all the fans or whatever, I can't get this right, is
that's the Rush thing, right?
No, that's from Rainbow. This one up here.
No, the picture that's in the inner sleeve, I thought that was no, wait.
We're going to talk about that album later, my friend.
Yeah, that's coming up. That's coming up. My bad.
We're all fired up.
My history jumped. I jumped out of whack there. Real quick notes on this one. The original vinyl release had gatefold, although the later budget reissue in Polydor was reduced to single sleeve. On the cassette version of the album, side 1 features the last 5 tracks, while side 2 plays the first 4. On the case insert and the cassette itself, 16th century green sleeves is written as 16 century green sleeves. Richie Blackmore's Rainbow was reissued on CD in remastered form in '99. In April of '99, European release followed later that year. Vocalist Ronnie James Dio considered this release his favorite Rainbow album, which is interesting. Despite the title implying the record being a Richie Blackmore solo release, in later years, Blackmore was jokingly stated that Dio's contributions warranted a retitling of Richie Blackmore and Ronnie James Dio's Rainbow. So, all right, Tom, jump into it and let her rip. By the way, I've been told that when I go in the same sequence every time, it kind of fucks other people. I'll go last just because I'm the host, but I think I'll bop back and forth between you guys on each album. That way you guys, this thunder isn't completely stolen. You know what I mean? I've been told that's kind of, I don't know, a thing. So Go ahead, Tom.
I think it's got some of the strongest material the band ever did on it. I like the production, but I don't think performance-wise it's as strong as some of the other albums. Like, it must have been amazing for the Elf dudes, but I think once Richie started really picking the other musicians, the band jumped up a notch. But yeah, I think another thing that's kind of spoiled this album for me is how good some of the official live versions of songs that are from this album ended up being. Particularly Man on the Silver Mountain. I find the version on this record is very slow. I think Man on the Silver Mountain kicks more ass as a faster version, like you'd hear on Rainbow on Stage or any of the times that Dio has played it live, where he almost turns it into a speed metal song. That's just my preference. But yeah, I'd say that there's probably 5 songs on this that I absolutely can't live without. Like Man on the Silver Mountain, Catch the Rainbow, Temple of the King, 16th Century Greensleeves, and the cover of Still I'm Sad. It's a bit weird that there's 2 cover versions on this album, but
Yeah.
like you said, the fact that he wanted to do that Quatermass cover with purple and they wouldn't let him makes sense, that he'd want that to be like the impetus for getting this one going. And Still I'm Sad. I've never heard the Yardbirds version.
I haven't either.
I do like the instrumental version on here. I think it's probably the best version he ever recorded. The vocal versions that came on other releases are fine, but there's just like a way cooler vibe on this. It's probably where the band's hitting the hardest and grooving the hardest on the whole album, I would say. Like if they brought that energy to, that Man on the Silver Mountain, that might be a definitive version. And also worth mentioning, like I think you said before, Martin Birch. Like Richie Blackmore and Martin Birch was a very good combination. Like anyone and Martin Birch is a good combination.
He just passed, right? A couple years ago, like recently, semi-recently. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he did. And Tom, can you do me one small favor? Can you bounce your volume on your end a tiny bit? I can't do it on my end. Just a smidge, if possible.
I don't know. Let's see. Okay,
You'll be able to go in your settings and just bounce your thing. Maybe you're all the way up. If not, maybe I'm just old and my ears are destroyed. But are you having trouble hearing him, Craig, or is it just me?
No, I can hear him fine.
Okay, it's probably me then. Sorry.
Yeah, I had it on automatically adjust mic volume.
Okay.
150. Is that different?
All right. Okay, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Craig, how about you, man?
Yeah, we're going to talk about my turn here to talk about the record.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Man on the Silver Mountain. Okay, let's go back to kind of what I'm going to bounce off what Tom was saying. These songs are all amazing. I love every song on the record. I think that performance-wise, it's a band. The band is Elf. They're more kind of an R&B type band, so they're kind of laying back on some stuff. So it doesn't be later on we get more of a performance Rainbow that's just more high energy with some pretty amazing players that have been around for a long time. But I fell in love with this album. I'm still in love with this album. Some albums you go back and listen to that you really love back in the day, and you're kind of like, every time I go back and listen to this, I get the same feeling as I did the first time I heard it. It's not like me going back and listening to an 80s album that I really liked and going, that had its time and place. But Man on the Silver Mountain. I mean, Blackmore likes to open up his albums usually with some barn burners. The tempo became faster when they play it live, but it's still a kicking number, and it's got great, a great downbeat. The second song is called Self Portrait. I dig it. Black Sheep of the Family. We just talked about that. How that's the one of the covers on this album. Catch the Rainbow. I love these albums back in the day that are like, they're 8-song or 9-song albums, a good 45-minute album where they sequence the album to where it's like, a barn burner on side 1, maybe a ballad at the end of side 1 or maybe side 2, and you start off with another kicker, on side 2. So I love that concept. But I love all the tunes on this. The Temple of the King is probably my favorite song on the album, and 16th Century Greensleeves, that, and of course Man on the Silver Mountain.
Yeah, it's 36:54, so 37 minutes, and that is we talked about this in other streams with other people. It's like when we got into the 90s and the 2000s, labels just wanted more and more and more. We have CDs now. We can just jam more and more and more on those CDs. So bands started writing instead of 45, 35, 37, 40, 42. they started writing 50, then 53, then 59, then 70. And it's like, there are some albums that work, like, Genesis, like Lamb or albums of those, the concept album type stuff. But, and I think we were different back then because we were wired different because of now. We're wired differently because of this stuff where we're constantly being bombarded by shit all the time around us. And it's like incessant. I find these smaller offerings are just they work so well, man. You're mesmerized and then you're out. And, this is one of those albums, Craig, I completely agree. I haven't listened to this album in forever. And of all the albums I listened to in this whole bunch, this is the one I just was like, fuck me, this is so good, man. Except one song. There's one song on this album I vehemently do not like. And you can probably pick out which one that is.
If you don't like rock and roll,
fuck yeah, I can't stand that song.
It's one of those boogie woogie.
It's a barroom boogie song. And
And a lot of people have those on their albums. We'll talk about those are even on late Rainbow albums too.
Especially back then. Yeah.
But having Dio and Richie Blackmore play a song like if you don't like rock and roll, it's better than probably the best song off some people's albums that are coming out today.
Oh yeah, it's better than a Canned Heat song, like a really shitty Canned Heat song or something. I get it, but it's just that song, the one song that disrupts the flow. Let me jump into this quick. So it starts out, man. I'm kind of doing this thing now with my Dad series, which is Definitive Albums Deconstructed, where I get with one person, we do one album in a band's catalog. I pick one, they pick one. And I started to develop this sort of vernacular. It's not anything super, esoteric or cool, but I kind of go with ultra mega bangers, tweener bangers, and meh. That's kind of my assessment of tracks. Man is a mega ultra banger. It's just those dyad double stops. Richie is the king of the double stops, man. Dun, 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 dun. He did it on Smoke on the Water. It's just so fucking killer, man. And just a monstrous opener. Self-Portrait is a really, really cool song. That down, 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 down. Just so good and really, really shine. This album really shines a spotlight on Ronnie James Dio. Because, yes, he did the Elf thing where they were more of a barroom boogie band, right? But this album starts to morph him into a front man of epic sort of proportions. And I think we'd all agree he's probably, if he's not the greatest singer of metal or hard rock, he's certainly one of the very top 2, 3. I don't know. He's up there. So Black Sheep, I really like this cover, man. Now, this one's a cool one. And you can almost say, well, that's kind of a boogie woogie sort of thing. It's got a little bit of that, but it's also got a little weird 60s vibe to it in my assessment. It's got this cool quasi, and I've never heard is it Quatermass? Is that the name? Or Quartermass? Quartermass. I know that name. Is that a Canadian band?
British, right?
Were they British? Okay. I don't know them, and I did not go check this song out, so I don't know what the reference point there is. Did you check? Any of you guys check it out?
No, but I mean, that song though, like what you're getting at without, it's a cover, but it's got a great title, right? Oh, yeah. And then you relate to it when you're listening to it as a kid or any sort of a rebel. And I love the lyrics and everything. I see why he chose it, it rocks.
Well, I love the chorus, man, that Black Sheep. I can't go up that high because my voice is kind of fucked because I got a sinus.
The best part of the song is just me and my dog. Yeah.
Black sheep of the family. And he got those harmonies on top that almost sound like there's female vocals. I didn't look on the credits to see if there's any female singers, if that's Dio just doing all those harmonies. But
yeah, there's a special guest, Shoshana, on vocals.
That's what I thought.
There you go.
I thought I heard something there. So,
man.
And it reminds me of something. I can't think of who it reminds me of, but that's the only song that kind of seems a little like not like the others. If you get my drift. Now, Catch the Rainbow, man. Man, what to say about this song? I don't know if you guys hear it, but the very beginning, man, very much Hendrix Little Wing. Very much Hendrix Little Wing. I mean, it almost carries the melody. The vocal melody is, when evening falls, she'll run to me. You can almost hear in a circus mind that's running wild. It's like right there. The melodies are right there, but it morphs into this fucking. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm using fuck so much tonight. I'm just too excited, right? Just amazing. This song, I thought a track on the next album was my favorite Rainbow song. I'm not entirely sure about that after revisiting this song in specific. It's the lyrics are amazing. We believe we catch the rainbow, ride the wind to the sun, sail away on ships of wonder. But life's not a wheel with chains made of steel. So bless me. Just wow. Just so fucking good, man. I mean, that is a ultra mega alpha banger right there. So Snake Charmer, Ass Kicker, love this track. It's an ultra mega banger, man. It's so good. It's got an Uli feel with the guitars, that kind of snaky, weird, almost like slip and slidey sort of thing with the solos. It's also got a little bit of Frank Marino vibes to it too, I think, with the tones. Temple of the King, yeah, man, ultra mega banger. It's mostly an acoustic track, which is kind of cool. But it kind of picks up. And again, I hear Frank Marino. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Frank Marino. I would assume, Craig, you probably know a good bit about his stuff. Yeah. Do you know Stories from a Hero?
I don't know, but a band I played with, we supported Frank, and I've seen him probably 3 or 4 times and met him. He's a great guy and just an amazing guitar player. Yeah,
I mean, I just hear Frank had to have heard this song because Stories of a Hero is kind of the template for that is Temple of the King.
I think that song inspired a lot of people on the last Ruffians album we did in 2006. We decided we had some extra time in the studio one day, or we're ahead of schedule, so we wrote a song like in the studio, like just like in real time, and it's kind of the only ballad on the album. And it's kind of just inspired from Temple of the King, and I play some mandolin on it, and so I'm sure that song inspired a lot of people. It certainly did me.
Oh yeah, I mean, the vocal line, "One day in the year of the fox came a time remembered well." It's just so, it's so Dio. It's so good, Chorus is amazing on it. The next track, nope, don't like it. Boogie Rocker, no thanks. Get it out of here. 16th Century Greensleeves, man. That's the kind of, in a weird way, it's kind of the, other than maybe Man, it's kind of the killer rock banger sort of. It's like that. If you want to go there, it's kind of the heavy metal or proto metal track on the album. Probably the best soloing on the album is on that song. I mean, Richie kind of goes off on it, and it's kind of like a, it's a fist pumper, right?
Yeah, it's got that very cool, lyric thing, that 16th century medieval time lyric thing happening, which I think. Oh yeah,
meet me when the sun is in the western skies.
Dio already had that going, but I think Richie just pushed that vibe, man, about the kings, kill the kings, and just that whole medieval spirit of stuff, castles and whatnot. And
yeah, it's kind of funny. Like Ronnie, that became his thing, the dragons, and so when he does the more straightforward, like, making love or, that kind of thing, you're like, all right, that's not Ronnie. That's not the Ronnie Dio I love. I mean, it's just one of those kind of things. But is it Now I'm Sad, or what's, I wrote Now I'm Sad. Still I'm Sad. Sorry, I wrote Now. The instrumental run out track, man, that cowbell, always got to love the cowbell. That phased intro it's just a ripper, man. The guitar melody at times kind of reminds me a little bit of The Lion Sleeps at Night. It's really weird. If you listen to it, it's kind of got that thing going on. But, for me, with the exception of that one track, man, insanely good. Like I said, I listened to this thing at least 5 times to kind of plan it in my brain, and I loved every second of it, with the exception of the it's not rock and roll track. Ronnie's otherworldly on it. Richie brings the spank. It gets better. It definitely gets better with the next 2 albums, I think. but this is still like a 9.25 out of 10 for me. Probably even a 9.5. I think it's a killer album. And, you know, if anyone came to me and said, where should I start? I'd be like, yeah, definitely start there or anywhere in the first 3 albums. So now we're up to this one here. I'll show my copy quick. I have all the Rainbow remasters, which I don't know when they happened. I guess 99 was it? Something like that? Yeah, 99. So we'll let Craig go first on this one, and then we'll get to you, Tom. So real quick on this before you go in there, Craig. May 1776, this comes out. It was recorded during February 76. Again at Musicland Studios in Germany. Again, Oyster, Polydor, and Martin Birch. I did neglected to mention Martin Birch produced the last album. So go ahead, man.
Yeah, what a great cover. I mean, this sort of oil painting, just so classy.
Iconic.
You know? And the fist grabbing it is just, I mean, what an amazing album cover. And then you got your live photos on the back, which are just tough. And yeah, you got a band that just looks, you know, like way too cool, man. So this album, you know, Richie goes, well, you know, I got my first album out, you know, stole the guys from Elf, and I made my mark. And now people know what I'm all about. I'm going to get the best players I possibly can get. And if I'm going to get the best frigging drummer in the business, I'm going to get Cozy Powell. And he does that, and he gets Tony Carey on keyboards, and he gets Jimmy Bain on bass. And Jimmy was in the scene. Who did Jimmy Bain play with before Rainbow?
Who? Jimmy?
Yeah.
He played with Thin Lizzy, but that was after, I think.
Yeah, he never played too much with them.
He relocated as a kid to Vancouver, which I didn't actually know, but he was asked to join Rainbow. Had watched him perform with somebody at the Marquee. I don't know.
Yeah, he was in bands, but he became a veteran pretty quick, and then of course he went on to play in Ronnie's band. But
yep, Lizzy,
a great bass player. Met him countless
Horses.
If there's 2 bass players that I know that can play pretty stellar, just pissed off their ass, that's Jimmy Bain and Pete Way. And
oh yeah, Pete Way for sure.
I've seen Jimmy go on stage pretty drunk, and yeah, he doesn't miss a note for some reason.
Wow.
But anyhow, this album is fantastic, man. It starts off really spooky, kind of low. You're kind of turning the stereo up, like what's happening? All these trippy keyboards. And then it comes in with this groove, and you hear Cozy Powell's drums on the downbeat, and you're just like going, wow, it just pulls you in, you know. Yep. And then Ronnie just comes, you know, with those lyrics, you know, and he's belting it out, right? And he's just, the power is just amazing. And the song's called Tarrant Woman. And yeah, it's just got this mystery magic vibe, man. The lyrics and everything, you know.
Real quick note on that, Craig, the intro synth sequence, which is so fucking cool. It's so cool. It's mystical. It sort of sets the atmosphere. That is a mini moog. I wasn't entirely sure. I thought it was an ARP, but it's actually a mini moog. So that just for people out there that were curious.
Yeah, and just great. And then you come into with Run with the Wolf, and it's just got this heavy downbeat again. Cozy Powell playing a great mid-tempo song. The title of the song just sounds great. I love it. And then you got the Starstruck, which is kind of it's a quick number, and yeah, it's about, you know, you can hit the lyrics, you know, about a groupie and everything. It's probably the song that has the most pop sensibilities. Well, maybe that in the next track, but yeah, it's a great tune. I mean, I don't have to say. I mean, you know, if you haven't heard these songs, you got to go listen to them. Do You Close Your Eyes? That's the closer on side one. You know, out of all this, I mean, it's a great track. If I was to critique it, out of all the songs on the album, that's probably my least favorite.
Exactly. Same here.
but I mean, it's a
Still
fantastic
good
song. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we get into a side 2, a 70s
Oh.
album where you're looking at side 2 and there's only 2 tracks on side 2. It's
Yeah, I know, crazy.
Yeah, it's like something Rush does, or a lot of bands from that time. I mean, Rush would just put one song on one side of an album. And but side 2 opens up with one of the most iconic drum intros of all time. I mean, the opening drums on Stargazer is up there with When the Levee Breaks. Those are like the 2 most famous drum intros. And Cozy just has such a signature sound. And then it goes into this very down.
That chromatic riff is so killer.
Really dramatic, with dramatic lyrics. And it sounds like the songs, the mood of the song is I don't know, like it's got this Egyptian feel. Maybe it's like, kind of this harmonic minor vibe or something.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Tom. I'm
trying to get maybe a little Phrygian in there.
Fancy with my words here. But it's got that harmonic Egyptian sound, and then he's singing like about like like they're building, about, it sounds like people from like Greek times are like building temples and building stuff for the gods, right? And they're stargazer people, and they believe there's a god in the sky, and they're building these temples for their gods as some sort of hope, so I don't know, that's the kind of, it's really dramatic, and you can kind of like, he paints a picture with it, people like in the sand, dragging the rock to build the tower, and that kind of thing. And when do we leave? Like, are we leaving this earth, to go to another place? It's got all that mysticism about it. And not only is the opening drum track iconic, but the solo is one of Richie's most iconic solos. And it's one of his, longer solos on some of the tunes. And it's magical. And when people talk about Rainbow, a lot of times this is one of the, people that know, this is probably the track that gets brought up the most.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So, and after that is A Light in the Black. And, and it just kind of, it starts off, it's a barn burner. So it kind of the song ends with a barn burner. And Richie does that a lot. Sometimes he'll start the album with a barn burner. Sometimes he'll end it with a barn burner. Sometimes he'll start side 1 and side 2 with a barn burner, and inside 1 and 2 with like slow songs or instrumentals, but you can always, he writes a good barn burner, that Richie. And as the song at the end of Light in the Black, it's like, I'm coming home. It's just, it ends very sort of hopeful, it's very dramatic, man. And this album is just, it's just stellar. It's stellar.
Yeah,
The whole album is stellar, just like the first album, I could get into breaking down the songs more and talk about them, but I mean, we don't want to be here all night, but that's kind of my take on talking about it briefly.
Nice. Yep. Tom, what you got?
When I got my first record player about 5 years ago, I think this was one of the first 3 albums I bought.
Yep. Says a lot, right?
Yeah. I mean, what can you really say? I made an observation a couple of years ago listening to it that Richie does a lot of slide solos on this album. I can't remember if it's every song, but there's a lot. And I wonder if that was like a deliberate choice there. Like, he feels like, he just wanted to show people how great he was at slide guitar. I don't know. But there's like the Stargazer solos, like predominantly slide, I think, and quite a few of the other songs. Yeah, it's a desert island disc. This is what I was talking about with like the Elf lineup being cool, but not really cutting it. Like, I think Carey and Bain were both fairly unknown, but Cozy Powell certainly wasn't. He'd been playing with Jeff Beck already. Like, he was a very, very well established drummer. and one of the best like hard rock drummers who ever played. Martin Birch again, fiddling with the knobs and working the desk. He captured an incredible vibe and incredible sound. It seems like everything came together.
Yeah, the production on this album, and even the production on the first album, these first 3 albums, really stellar. In fact, you could kind of say for the most part, even all the way up until we got to the 80s, when the 80s production started to infiltrate every band in some respect, and they kind of got away from Birch when Roger Glover came in. That there was a major change there. But is that it? Do you want to add anything else? I mean, is this for you guys both? Is this a 10 out of 10 for you guys both?
Yeah, I mean, the first album's a 10, this album's a 10. It's just like, come on, and
I can't give a 10 on that first album, Craig. I do not like that song, man.
Yeah, man, it's gotta just give it a 10.
Shit happens.
Amazing. But Tom, you're saying, Richie's slide work, it's often overlooked sometimes, him as being a slide player.
Yeah.
And the way he plays slide is so subtle and so silky that when you first hear it, you're going, is he playing single note stuff or is he playing slide? It takes you a second and you're going, whoa, Richie's playing slide.
That's what I was talking about with that slinky guitar sound. It's almost like he's gliding like a glissando sort of thing with his fingers, but then you realize, oh, that's a slide.
It's overlooked. And if you're someone like, Dwayne Allman or somebody's coming out of the air,
very obvious.
And then, but I mean, just this, and it's like, it takes you a second to go, whoa, Richie's playing slide because it's a trip. And I think Run with the Wolf has slide on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
definitely stuff on Stargazer.
Yeah. And then I can't think of the other track, but we'll get to some other albums.
Well, he does a lot more coming up. There's a couple albums that really gets into it. Yeah.
But just, no one really talks about Blackmore slide playing, and it's incredible. And he's playing the Strat,
I was just gonna say,
come on.
Yeah, no Les Pauls, no fucking, he's still doing the Strat with the scallop neck. He's never changed from that, which is kind of fucking cool, I think,
Yeah. So,
all right, I'll rip into this one quick here.
Yeah, go for it. You go.
Yeah, Run with. I'm sorry, Terror Woman. We already talked about that synth intro, man. Oh, it's so good because I love me some prog and I love me some Tangerine Dream. I like all that kind of shit. So that intro with Tony Carey is just super cool. That mini mood thing. This is an ultra mega banger, man. Dio is so good on this, man. Oh, it's just like, I don't want to go. Something tells me no. It's like you're like, ugh. And then beware of a place, a smile on a bright, shiny face. It's so good. I love that opening track. Run with Wolf. That's a banger. That's a mega banger. Serious Deep Purple vibes on that track for me. It's kind of like Burn a little bit. I hear a little bit of Burn in that song. With those double stops and everything he's so famous for. Just kicks ass. Dio's amazing on. Starstruck, like you said, probably the most accessible track, except for possibly Do You Close Your Eyes has that catchy chorus in it. Kind of saves the track. I hear a bit of boogie vibe in Starstruck, but the neoclassical overtones are there, and that chorus just, it's just Lady Starstruck. Just so good, right? And then you got Do You Close Your Eyes? It's definitely the weakest track for me as well, Craig. I like it, but I still like it. This track on most other bands' albums is a killer track. But on this album, it's kind of like the one song you can kind of go, okay, that one's kind of the weak link. But it's still great. That chorus, just do you close your eyes? Dude, come on now, man. Actually, speaking of Don Dokken, I might have him on next week. I'm definitely having John Levin on, but I might have Dokken coming on soon. So, and the new album's not bad. I've got it, and it's not horrible. Don doesn't try to go out of his range. And anyways, that's a side note. But thank you for saying I'm better than Don Dokken. I appreciate that. Man, Stargaze. I mean, what hasn't been said about this track? Like, what hasn't been said by virtually every hard rock and metal fan, this is one of those iconic stone cold locks for greatest rock song ever. It's prog, it's metal, it's proto metal, rather, I should say. It's hard rock royalty. This song is just so epic. The synth intro again, those mini Moog intros, Cozy's monstrous, as you guys both alluded to, drum solo, and then you get in that down, 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 down. So good, man. That riff is so fucking killer. And Dio on this track, it's just, I mean, it's Ronnie fucking James Dio. That's it right here. This song kind of encaps even more than maybe Holy Diver or, you know, Don't Close Your Eyes or, you know, any one of the tracks off the first two albums that are iconic. This song is the Ronnie James Dio song. Period.
I knew I'd sell my soul for water. It's like, whoa.
9 years worth of breaking my back. And then it's the part where he goes, oh, be his face. And it's like, you get into that pre-chorus thing. Where is your star? Is it far? You know, it's like, oh, and I just fucking love that song, man. Again, this one and Catch a Rainbow. It's, for me, it's 1 and 1A. They're kind of two very different songs in a lot of ways, but they're just so incredibly good. They're the iconic centerpieces of the album. Light in the Black, I don't know about you guys, but I would almost, like if I had been sequencing this, I may have thought about switching Stargazer and Light in the Black. Easy to say now, 45, 50 years on from it, wherever we're at, close to 50. But it's, you know,
it could have gone that way, but you wouldn't have that opening track with Cozy Powell's drum coming out.
True, good point. But you finish it on that, you know, that incredible chorus outro of, it's just, man, it's like, not to get weird, but it's like an orgasm track. This fucking song is like, almost like having the best orgasm. Anyways, weird, I know, but it's true. And at my age, it's probably better, quite frankly. So, you know, just Light in the Black, just amazing. Another killer banger, ultra mega banger. I'm deducting 0.25 off of a 10 to make it a 9.75 out of 10, simply because Do You Close Your Eyes, the verses are just a little weak on the album, but it's a real nitpicking thing. Is it really? It's probably more like a 9.95 for me. Damn near a masterpiece.
It's got to be wholes, man. You can only do whole numbers. We'll give you half since you like to go crazy, but you can't start going 0.95s on albums.
Hey, Craig, is it my show or yours? Love you, buddy. Love you, man. You know that. All right, man. So we're going to jump into this next one here. We're going to do Long Live Rock and Roll. This one comes out. Oh, I had a couple quick notes on Stargazer real fast.
Good.
For the album, as you...
even though it's not a studio album, Tom would like to make a
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, Tom. Can you hold on 1 sec?
Yeah.
I'll leave you up for 1 sec. We just wanted to note, and Craig kind of hit on it. I jumped out of sequence and didn't do my notes, but we added Jimmy Bain on bass, Cozy Powell on drums, and Tony Carey on keyboards. This was recorded in Munich in less than a month. The album was overseen by Birch. In '96, Cozy Powell told Record Collector magazine that much of the album was recorded in 1 or 2 takes with some subsequent overdubs, which explains why no alternate or demo versions exist, just the original or rough mixes. The album showpieces the 8-minute, 20-second Stargazer, which features the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra. We forgot to note that. And originally had a keyboard intro, as evidenced by the 2011 Deluxe Edition's rough mix, which I listened to, and it is different. It's kind of cool that it has that intro sequence of the you guys are confusing me here. I can only go so fast. So the few of the album's tracks made it into the band's live set. Only Stargazer and Do You Close Your Eyes, written prior to the inaugural U.S. tour in '75, featured in the 75-76 shows, while A Light in the Black was dropped early in '76, although it was reintroduced in the Japanese date. Starstruck was played in shortened form, usually as part of Man in the Silver Mountain. The original vinyl release was a gatefold containing the photo of the band. You guys showed that. Rising peaked at number 48 on Billboard's pop album chart in the UK, and peaked in the UK. It peaked at number 11. One thing I wasn't aware of was the first CD issue had a slightly different mix to that of the original LP, including a longer delay before the band entered after Carey's opening to Tarot Woman, and a longer play-out run on Run with Wolf. This track, Stargazer, had the vocal mixed without the delay, the extra synthesizer deleted, and some of the phase sounds deleted. When remastered in 99, the original vinyl mix came back into play. So go ahead, Tom. You wanted to note in concert?
It's called Rainbow on Stage.
Oh, sorry. I had that, and I didn't know that was the name of it. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the lineup that recorded Rising. That's what I was saying about like Man on the Silver Mountain. Like the studio version doesn't compete with the version on here for me. It's faster. It's just a better performance. Way cooler drums. Really good version of 16th Century Greensleeves as well. The entire of side 2 is a 15-minute version of Catch the Rainbow. Side 3 is a 13-minute version of Mistreated. I listened to this again earlier and I was like, oh my God, man. Like, if I could have a time machine and go and see one band, these guys would be on the list. Like,
I need to revisit that. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that tour too. Craig's got a story coming up, I believe. So,
and Still I'm Sad. Yeah, you get a Still I'm Sad with lyrics on this one.
That's right. Yeah. Ronnie sings on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very fast and very energetic. And I don't know. The one thing I think I wanted to say earlier on but didn't get around to saying is that it kind of goes without saying that every single Rainbow track has really, really, really great lead guitar playing on it.
Yeah, I mean,
even if it's a crappy song, which there will be plenty of later on, there will still be at the very least 20 seconds of absolute mercery happening.
Totally agree. And Rick says, glad to have you back, Tom. Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Did you forget someone? There's someone else here. This guy's here. Come on, man. Come on, Rick. Don't be that guy. Rick's my buddy. He just brain farted there. What's up, Patrick? Good to see you, bud. So we are on you, actually, sir. Let me give a quick couple notes on Long Live Rock and Roll. Came out April 14th, 1978. Recorded May, July, and December 77 at Strawberry Studios at Chateau de Oroville. Are you guys familiar with Chateau de Oroville? Do you know who the story behind that place in France?
Not really, but I think they'd go on to record more albums there.
Yeah, it's haunted allegedly. So you had all kind of weirdness going on during this recording allegedly. Baal, the whole story of Baal, they thought there was a spirit inhabiting Chateau de Oroville, and it's also where Jethro Tull tried to record Minstrel, and they were so disgusted with the place and the stuff that they got out of it and all the equipment failures and weird shit that was going on that Jethro Tull left and came back to England because they wanted to be tax exiles, but they went back. So that kind of talks about the whole Chateau de Oroville. Actually, I goofed. I said Minstrel. It's the Black Album. Fuck. Can't think of it off the top of my head. My bad. I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, long story short here, we got Polydor's the label, and Birch is back again. Real quick notes. Recording of the album commenced in 77 at Chateau de Oroville. Blackmore, Dio, Cozy Powell. Keyboards were initially played on a session basis by former Rainbow member Tony Carey, while bass parts were started by Mark Clark. Clark was soon dismissed, however, and the bass parts were recorded by Blackmore himself. By July 77, 7 tracks that ended on the album were in demo form. Recording was suspended while the band recruited Bob Daisley on bass, David Stone on keyboards, and thereafter commenced extensive touring of Europe in the summer and autumn of 77. A return to Oroville studio in December saw the band finish the album and also yielded the final track, Gates of Babylon, thank goodness. Although Daisley and Stone are listed on the album credits for their contributions, they joined the band partway between recording sessions and only appeared on 3 and 4 songs respectively. Stone wrote parts of Gates of Babylon, the middle 8 section during the guitar solo. He was paid for the work but not credited on the album. Uh-oh. The original vinyl release was in a gatefold illustrated by Debbie Hall with a lyric sheet insert. Here's where the crowd picture is actually from a Rush concert with the wording on the banner and the fans were holding replaced by rainbow album title, and the visible Rush T-shirts were airbrushed to black. That's kind of interesting to note that. So, Tom, dig in.
I think this.
There we go. Much better.
What's much better?
Rick is saying Craig gets his own individual greening.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think this is another 10 out of 10 album. I consider it faultless. I could talk about each of the songs individually, but
go for it, man.
I think anyone who's listened to them will know how good they are. Kill the King, I think, is one of Richie's best barn burners, to use Craig's phrase there. I think that song is just absolutely fucking phenomenal. It's everything that I like about hard rock, honestly. I really like Lady of the Lake as well. The orchestration on that song is spectacular. Like with the backing vocals, the slide guitar parts, like the layering of the electric guitar parts. Yeah, I've just seen Rainbow Eyes makes it 9 out of 10 for me on there. If you're PB Tyler, if you're saying Rainbow Eyes takes it down a notch to make it 9 out of 10, then we need Pistols at Dawn, dude, because that's my favorite song on the album.
I love that song, man. Love it.
Well, there's I think they tuned the guitars a tiny bit sharp, or they sped up the tape a bit on Rainbow Eyes, so it's not quite concert pitch. I think so. You've actually got Ronnie singing something closer to F minor than E minor, and F minor happens very, very rarely on rock albums. Because normally people are everyone knows guitars are tuned to E or E flat usually, but to have a song that's kind of like skirting around the slightly flat F minor, for me, I don't know, it makes my ears pop up a little bit because it's something. Oh dear, PB Tar doesn't like my opinions at all. Sorry, dude. Okay,
Patrick. That's why I didn't invite you. I knew you'd probably shit on one or two songs that I really love, so that's why I was like, yeah, I got to keep him away. I'm kidding. Pat's a dude that I do a lot of streaming with, so good fucking guy, man. Good dude. You're off on Rainbow Eyes. I'm just saying, but that's cool. So is this a 10 out of 10? I thought you said 10 out of 10 when you started.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say so. Yeah, I think this and Rising are both 10 out of 10 albums. I can't really imagine living in a world without either of them.
I'm going to have a controversial ending to this. I'm really struggling with my number one pick, and you can tell just by what I'm saying, it's between two albums. Just real quick, Craig. No, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Jump in.
My turn?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So I'll just go into it. We have another classy album cover. It's sort of like their version of Aerosmith's Draw the Line, but Aerosmith's rock and roll band. So there's this kind of cartoony, by that person who did all those TV guides. But this is a very classy sort of thing. It depicts the band and the vibe of the band. The parchment paper is very rainbow and everything. And we mentioned that this was from a Rush concert, and they airbrushed out the Rush thing.
That's funny.
Violent rock and roll, all sort of stuff. This album, it means a lot to me. These first three studio albums do. I think Richie is starting to try to get on FM radio. He wants to get on the radio, and so I think the first track, "Long Live Rock and Roll," is an attempt at that, and it's an attempt at getting on the radio, but still keeping his dignity, and it's great. It's a tongue-in-cheek great tune. Lady of the Lake, like Tom said, it's a great tune. The orchestration's great. LA Connection, I really like it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of got a little bit of the beat, and the lyrics have I don't want to say pop sensibilities, but it's maybe the title, LA Connection, but it's just a really great tune. Gates of Babylon is going to be, again, another track that all the people that know are going to bring up when they talk about Richie. And, Stargazer is one of them, Mistreated, Gates of Babylon. And, it's great. It's got the, again, that harmonic minor Egyptian feel. Yep. The solo has all that happening. It takes you to a place. It paints a picture. and then it ends with those like violins, type of thing, some strings and all that. It's just remarkable. Kill the King, just in your face barn burner, just like Tom said. This song just is everything that I like too about hard rock. And The Shed, great track. Sense of Light, great track. Rainbow Eyes is the closer. We'll close with a ballad, which is great. When you're lying in bed and you put the record on and you're going to sleep to a record, isn't it nice when there's a ballad on the last track? That's what they were doing. And this is the one song, Rainbow Eyes, that I've never heard Ronnie sing this way before, really. It's in this very falsetto, sort of unique, sort of whisper way that he sings it. I haven't heard him sing really like that on any other thing that he's done, if you think about it. And this album's pretty insane. And if I can just sidetrack real quick, me and my friend Luke, who I got into the first album with. You guys still with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I just ran.
No, we're good. We're good.
All right.
I was checking out The Shed because I was trying to get the line.
Yeah.
So I muted
No.
for a minute.
No one chimed in, so I thought that maybe.
No. We're engrossed, Craig. We want to know. We want to know what you're thinking.
So we look. So there's a paper, the San Francisco Chronicle, and there's a newspaper on Sunday. They had a pink section that was in the middle of it. And you pulled out the pink section for all the arts, the culture, and everything that was going on, right? When you didn't have enough, that's where you found out where bands are playing in the Bay Area by looking at this and BAM magazine. So when you're at the newsstand, the Sunday paper was this thick, so it cost a lot more than the regular papers. I don't know how much it cost back in the day. It could have been 50 cents, 75 cents, but we didn't have any money. So if I didn't have any money and I wanted to know what concerts coming to, I'd slip out the pink section sometimes, just kind of out of thing and kind of leave the newsstand, right? Because who cared about the rest of the paper? And so we open it up and it says Winterland. All the shows, Bill Graham presents shows Winterland. It says Rainbow. It says REO Speedwagon, Rainbow, Blackmore, Dio, Powell, small underneath it, and No Dice. And we're just like, me and Luke are like, we got to go to the show. Like there's no way. I'm in 7th grade. And so it was $6.50 to go to the show. So we go down to the campus in Berkeley, we buy some tickets, we get my dad to take us. And he likes music. He likes Led Zeppelin. He likes the Byrds. He likes Neil Diamond. He likes it all. So me, Luke, and my friend Dan Moore go. Dan Moore was the bass player in Ruffians. And, we didn't know we're a bunch of kids. We didn't know we were going to form a band yet. But three of us that went to that show did. And so it's a school night. We go to Winterland in San Francisco. And as we're driving up, we see all the guys walking down the street and it's just dark and it's like 70s concert and we're excited and we're a little bit intimidated. And so we go in the show and a lot of the seats were filled up. And Luke, the drummer, there were seats right behind that nobody were really sitting at. So we go behind the stage and we sit in the first row, right in the middle, looking out at the crowd.
Wow.
And we're looking right down on Cozy, right? So a band opens up called No Dice. They're kind of this sort of punky type New York garage rock band or something. And they go on stage and they get pelted. They get pelted with stuff. They don't last four songs. It's just Richie fans, right? They're Richie fans, hardcore. So they go off the stage with their tail between their legs. And then the next band up is Rainbow. And then we're looking at, because we have this bird's eye view of the audience, and it's all general admission, of course. And then we see all these people kind of coming up, and these guys, and they're all coming up to get the stage left, right? And they're like pushing people out of the way, and they're in the front. It's like, all dudes, right? And people are just wedging for front row. And sure enough, the lights go down, and they USB over the rainbow, 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 and they open up with Man on the Silver Mountain.
Wow.
And the set list from that show was,
Craig, what year was this again? 78 or 79?
This was May 20th, 1978, and I
Wow.
remember that date. I can't remember what I had for dinner the
Is
other day.
this your very first show or no?
No, my first show was in 77.
Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, I was going to try to pull up, if one of you guys want to pull up the set list, you can go to the set list, but May 20th, 1978, Rainbow. And so there's the set list is like 5 songs because one of the songs is Mistreated, right? Which is like, half hour or something. And they play LA Connection, I know that. And they played
Gates of Babylon, Long Live Rock and Roll. It says
okay. I think the last track was Long Live Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
And so we're watching this, and it's the, when he's got the reel-to-reel thing there, and the Echoplex going through the tape thing, and it's just like it's just all amazing. And we're watching Cozy Powell, and during Mistreated, Dio comes behind, the stacks because he's hanging out and he's drinking a beer, and we're looking down on it, and we're going, "Hey, Ronnie," and he throws up a can of Olympia, and it hits the brass rail, and my buddy Dan catches it, and it starts spewing out, and he's like shotgunning the beer that Dio just gave him. Yeah, and he takes the can. He's, "Oh, I'm keeping this can." He takes it home, and it's just all magic to us, man.
Does Dan still have the can? Do you know?
Oh, Dan passed away, man.
Oh shit,
2006. Man. I don't know if he still had the can or not. He had it for a while. And
I'd never get rid of that thing, man. That would be like forever.
And just the magic of it all, and the Marshalls, and you're looking at, you see in the.
Were you playing guitar yet at this point, Craig? No. Okay.
No, just
But
and
the seeds were planted, though. I'm sure.
Yeah,
right?
It was planning. So yeah, so we see the show, we see them play, and it's just remarkable. And at the end, smashes the white Strat to shreds, kicking off the stage. And these guys that are wedging up, they're fighting over it, man. I mean, it's just hardcore 70s man rock, dude. And so
I wondered if he did that every show. He must have had like a shitty like Mexican Strat or something, which they're good now, but.
Yeah, I don't know if they had Mexican Strats at the time, but whatever.
No, they may not. You're right.
He was smashing them, and yeah, everything about it was amazing. And then so after that, REO Chuckwagon comes on, and granted, this would have been a great time to see him, right? 1978, right?
Time for me to fly.
Kevin Cronin, the singer, comes out in a leotard. With a white leotard with red hearts on it, and and at the age of 7th grade, you're just no, this is all wrong. and Gary Richrath's a great guitar player.
Oh yeah,
so
it was. Yeah.
We saw about like 3 songs. My dad was kind of tripping around because he went to the bar to drink beers and watch it, and he came back and found us at the seats, and we all just looked at each other like, "Let's go!" Like there's no reason to stay for this. We would have just gotten high wrecked. Yeah. If we would have stayed. And my dad comes back and he's just like, "Man, that song Mistreated, man, that guy can sing." And so my dad was a Ronnie fan from then on out.
That's awesome story, dude. That you are right though. Like that would have been the time to kind of see REO before the High Infidelity thing, and where they had some good stuff like Flying Turkey Trot and Golden Country, and there was some good tunes on that double live album back then. I forget the name of that live album. I don't know if you guys remember it, but and Time for Me to Fly. I mean, it's a little bit of an AOR, but it's kind of a pretty fucking cool song. I've always loved that song, man. Cronin could sing, but yeah, coming out in a leotard with hearts.
Yeah, we were done. But that was one of my fine. That's one of the best shows I saw, and for some reason, I kind of remembered a decent amount of it, but yeah, it was great. So just want to throw all that in.
So 10 out of 10 for you, this album too, right?
10 out of 10.
All right, cool. I'm with you there. Long Live Rock and Roll. I mean, come on, man. That song just, that is like a double fist to the face, man. It's just, if there's ever an anthem in the Rainbow catalog, along with like, that's your Man on the Silver Mountain right there. It's just such a badass track, man. I mean, you know, and you got the really cool interplay of the Hammond B3 there with, I don't know who it was, Stone, I guess, you know, going with Richie on that thing, and the neoclassical sort of jams on that. That chorus, it's just unstoppable. Lady of the Lake, that's another killer track, man. I love this stomping intro riff, that now, you know, and when the chorus kicks in, it's just, that chorus is just, it's fucking heavenly, man. There's a magical sound sliding over the ground, and then you get in, I know I can't do this, it's a little out of my range, but Lady of the Lake, I fucking love this song. I love that song. And it might be maybe you mentioned LA Connection. I would say Lady of the Lake is also kind of a radio song in a lot of ways, because it's got that earworm chorus to it, but it's just got that driving fucking riffy intro and verse that is just, you know, it's just, oh my God. I don't really know what to say. It's just a monster track. LA Connection, that's an ultra mega banger, man. It's got a bit of a funk vibe to it, just a little bit. Like, it's got that kind of plucky sort of down, you know, that kind of thing. If that had a lot more distorted guitar tone, which was not really a thing in the 70s unless you were Tony Iommi for the most part. A lot of guys didn't play with like a serious amount of overdrive. But if that track actually had like a sleazy Les Paul heavy Marshall overdriven sound, like a plexi sound on it, man. Oh my God. And what's weird is it kind of has a little bit of a Judas Priesty vibe to it, of that era. You know what I mean? Like that late 70s, early 80s era. Gates of Babylon. You guys already talked about that harmonic minor and that the Phrygian dominant scale, where he's doing that thing where he's using like the E major, the A minor, D minor, G major, C major, F major, E major. That the way he's playing over all those chords. And yes, I looked that up because I'd have to sit down and listen to it to figure out exactly what he's playing. But he just got that incredible neoclassical. This song is like the Stargazer of this album. Not quite as long, maybe not quite as epic, but man, it's so freaking close, man. It's so close. Mega, ultra, mega banger. Kill the King, that's an ultra, mega banger too, man. Monster. Richie Blackmore kind of doing alt speed picking on this track, man. He's doing a lot of, you know, alternate speed picking on this, and that solo, wow. Dio, amazing. The Shed, I love this track, man. It's just got that now street walking, night stalking. It's just kind of another monster heavy riffy thing, and it's got a little bit of a swampy ZZ Top vibe in it. Just a tad, just a little bit of a Billy Gibbons sort of vibe to that riff, that main riff in there. Sensitive to Light, probably my least favorite track on the album, but I still love it. It's got a little bit of the barroom boogie vibe to it, but it's, you know, it's bluesy, and it gets a solid pass from me. But again, the solo just carries it though. It's killer. And then Rainbow Eyes, we're talking about that a little bit. The intro is kind of a Hey Joe unison thing, and very Hendrixy intro. I think it's probably one of Dio's finest vocal performance, because it shows what he can do. Like, you know, he can kind of do the almost soft ballady stuff as well as he can do the shreddy metal stuff, the intense stuff. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but Blackmore's Night, which Richie, once he put Rainbow to bed after 95 for a long time, he and his wife Candice redid this song on an album called Secret Voyages. And it's actually a really cool version. He does a lot more soloing on it than he does on this version, but it falls flat because Dio's not on it. It's just that simple. And she's a great singer, no disrespect to her. And you know, yeah. So this is another juggernaut of killer songs. perhaps a little bit more mainstream, just a tiny bit, as you mentioned, Craig. Little less neoclassical stuff going on it, and a little more radio friendly, shorter songs in general. But man, it's another 9.95, and I only take a little bit off for Sensitive to Light, which I actually do like that chorus a lot. So it's basically a 10 out of 10. And this one, when we get to the end, I'm still battling in my mind. So, all right, we'll get on to this one. We're getting there, guys.
Hey, just real quick, since before we leave Cozy Powell territory,
Yeah.
I love when they put a little flanger on his cymbals and his drums.
Yes.
I think that he does that a lot with his stuff. I never really hear that with anybody else. I think I love that.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I look, I don't like to pat myself on the back much, but I'm really not sure when you're talking greatest metal rock singers that you could exclude me from that, especially since I sing better than Don Dokken at this point in time. So there you go. And I have a sinus infection, so I've got an excuse always. But yeah, so we're up to here. We're up to Down to Earth, which came out on August 3rd, 1979. Recorded at Chateau Petit Cornfed, I don't know, in France, Kingdom Sound Studios in Long Island. The vocals, March through July of 1979. Came out on Polydor. Now we've got a producer change, and we're going with Roger Glover. I forget, am I with you now, Tom? Or Tom, you go first on this one, right?
No, I think it's Craig.
No, it's Craig? Okay. Let Craig go first. Before you get into that real fast, Craig, a couple quick notes. First album to feature, or last album to feature Cozy Powell. Only album with Graham Bonnet, released in 79, contains Rainbow's first hit single, which is crazy. Since You've Been Gone, writing of Down to the Earth began at Richie Blackmore's house in Connecticut, January 79. By that time, he had dismissed both Bob Daisley, David Stone, before Ronnie James Dio quit the band. Blackmore had already recorded his old Deep Purple bandmate Roger Glover as producer and bass player. While songwriting progressed with Blackmore, Cozy Powell, and session musician Clive Shaman on bass, backing tracks were largely written by Blackmore and Glover. It was a great opportunity for me. Why should I bear a grudge about being dismissed from Purple in 73? That's Roger Glover. I'm a huge Richie fan, some of my biggest influence. By early 79, Blackmore had recorded Don Airy, a suggestion from Powell, and considered Ian Gillan and Peter Golby of Trapeze being Glenn Hughes' band, to replace Dio. In April 79, Jack Green of the Pretty Things was hired as new bass player for the recording sessions at the Chateau in the countryside of South France, but he did not stay for long. Producer Glover ended up playing the bass. Glover tracked down ex-Marbles singer Graham Bonnet, who auditioned in France, was immediately hired. Last note here. During song compositions, Bonnet composed his vocal melodies. Those contributions remain uncredited. Geez, I wonder if that's why he left the band then. His vocals were not recorded with the other tracks in France, but later at Kingdom Sound in Long Island, when all other recording sessions were completed. Down to Earth is the only Rainbow album to feature Bonnet, though he was still part of the band when writing for Difficult to Cure began. So, okay, Craig, what you got on this one?
I don't know. I mean, it's personal because, the Rainbow album came out and we ran to the store to buy it, and we came home to my buddy Luke Bowman's house, who we've listened to all the Rainbow albums with, and we just said, what the fuck? What the fuck happened? And it starts with All Night Long, right?
Right.
And then we're hearing, I want to dance and I drink the wine. Hey, you look like a girl who's blah, blah, yeah. And all this sort of stuff. And we're just, we're fucking disappointed, man. Like,
where's the maidens? Where's the maidens in the castle wall?
Where did Ronnie go? And then the solo comes in and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's Richie. That's a total Richie song. Richie, solo. And it redeems itself for a minute. And then it goes back to the girl backstage and All Night Long and all that other shit. And so we're not digging it, man. And, the second song is called Eyes of the World. Kind of redeems itself. It's pretty cool. And then the album goes on and the album just doesn't do it, And Graham Bonnet's a great singer. He's got a lot of power. Richie's trying to get on the radio. That's his goal, man. He's no dummy. He wants to get on the radio. He wants money. Bringing Roger Glover into the band for this thing was very smart. Roger Glover is a great bass player. He's a smart person. He's got a great ear. He's produced a lot of albums. I mean, he produced Sin After Sin, Judas Priest, But and I think, Roger's going along with it. He wants the checks to come rolling in. And but man, it just, I'm disappointed. And that's a kid. That's like a kid being disappointed.
Right.
And so when I see that, I still feel that way. Lost in Hollywood, got some great cozy stuff. And it's, starts off and it's a pretty cool tune. But all in all, I'm not a fan of the album. Went and saw the tour. And it was at the Oakland Auditorium, and John Cougar and the Zone opened up.
Wow.
They were called John Cougar and the Zone. Richie Blackmore fans.
That's weird.
The guy didn't last 5 songs. People were flipping off, throwing beer, throwing everything they could at him. Just ruthless. John Cougar walks off after about 4 or 5 tunes. He's done. And then Randy Hansen plays, was the guy that did the Hendrix thing back in the day.
Yeah. Randy Hansen.
Kind of Bay Area guy, great guitar player. He did the best.
He's a Bay Area guy. I thought he was Seattle.
Sure, yeah, no, but I remember seeing him in the Bay Area a lot. So I think it's back and forth. But
yeah,
he did the best tribute of Hendrix type of thing that anybody.
Dude's a monster fucking player, man.
Yeah, and he played, and then they came out, and then Rainbow played under an hour.
Wow.
Probably 50 minutes. And at least 5 of those minutes was
a headliner?
Yeah, it was a Cozy Powell drum solo. So out of the 45, 50 minutes they played, it wasn't more than 50. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes of it was Cozy, and Blackmore just walked off stage. And I think he was towards the end of the tour, and we felt ripped off, and it made us even hate Graham Bonnet and hate that Rainbow even more.
Wow, holy shit. Now, let me ask you this. Time for truth here, Craig. Okay, be honest with me, man. Our love affair is just beginning, so please don't lie to me. Did you re-listen to it before we did this show?
I did.
Okay, just checking. I wanted to make sure, because how we feel sometimes is a 7th, 8th, not while you'd been probably.
No, I listened to the whole album.
Okay.
About a day ago.
Okay.
And I did. I totally listened to it, and just to go through it, because my memories, I got short-term memory here. But all night long. I mean, if I was to listen to it now, if it came on the radio now, I don't listen to the radio much, but it's better than anything else on the radio, so I'd probably listen to it. Eyes the World is a great track. Yeah. No Time to Lose, it's just kind of a poppy thing. Since You've Been Gone is probably in some ways, and you're going to think I'm crazy, it's more bearable to listen to than All Night Long.
I agree. I like that
it's
song
just
better.
Because the lyric of the All Night Long is everything anti-rainbow. It's like,
it really is. Yeah.
And Lost in Hollywood's pretty cool, man. And so
they entered their misogyny phase here, kind of. I mean, with
so anyway, I did listen to it, and that's my take on it all.
All right, cool. And I don't mean to interrupt, but these are the questions that go through my
I'm
mind.
done with that. I'm done with talking about that album.
All right, Tom. I'm curious here. I think I know where you're going, but I might be wrong. Probably not.
It's interesting that they got Russ Ballard to give them Since You've Been Gone. Like, the fact that Richie was looking for external songwriters is kind of interesting to me. Like, it's probably like looking over at bands like Foreigner and saying, like, I want some of that. I want to crack America. I want the big radio hit singles, which is why it kicks off with a song about getting head from a groupie. It's like, this is the band that did Gates of Babylon and Stargazer.
Yeah.
I've heard live versions where Bonnet actually sings, I want a girl who can give me head all night long. That's probably what they wanted to sing, and then had to tone it down for the fucking studio. It's shameless fucking shit. First time I heard All Night Long was in a rock club in London before I knew who Rainbow were, and I assumed it was like Kiss or something, just like some trashy fucking nonsense. So I was a little surprised and disappointed when I found out it was Rainbow. The only note I made for any songs on this album was Lost in Hollywood. I wrote Shit Burn. like just a shit version of Burn. It's like Richie's still got the riffs, but like he's so like laser focused on trying to guess what will be successful that he's missing the mark big time. There was actually a really nice instrumental, which was the B-side to All Night Long when it came out as a single, which is called Weissheim, which is the German for White House or White Home, I think, which was the name of his residence at the time. That's really nice. You know, Bonnet's a great singer, but my God. Yeah, PB Tyler saying, I suggest a listen to the Castle Donington performance. I have listened to the Castle Donington performance. It's pretty good. There's quite a nice version of Catch the Rainbow on there, like abridged, where they just do like parts of it and then Richie solos for about 15 minutes. Yeah, I think this album is their worst. No, I think it's their second worst album.
Whoa!
I think it's crap, and with the exception of Since You've Been Gone, which they didn't even write, there's not a single song on here I ever want to hear again.
Damn, man, you are gonna trash my ass. I lost all my cred. Because unlike both you guys, I really like this album. All Night Long, yeah, it's a play for radio. There's no doubt about it. Yes, there's some misogyny, but let's be honest. Unfortunately, what was the 70s and early 80s all about? It was about misogyny. It was about fucking chicks, man. I mean, that's the reality of it. Let's be honest. Most hard rock was all about sex. And yeah, I agree with both of you in that the lyrical content, with the exception of maybe 2 songs on here, it doesn't hold up well because it's of the era of the time. But man, I really like All Night Long. I think his voice fits the Blackmore sound, to be honest with you. It's not Dio, and nobody was ever going to replace Dio. No matter how good they were, no one was ever going to be as good as Dio. It's kind of like, you know, Alice in Chains. How do you replace Lane? Well, Duvall's great. He's amazing. He's really good. But he sure as fuck ain't Lane, okay?
Yeah, but Alice in Chains, so much of their sound was Jerry's voice as well, and the fact that it was harmony. Like, that's
true, those harmonies, for sure. But, like, okay, like, let's say Soundgarden wants to come back. Who's replacing him? Richie Kotzen? He could do it. Ian Thornley? He could do it. But he's not going to be Chris, man. Nobody's going to be Chris. So nobody can be Dio. So you have to kind of somehow reconcile that in your brain. And Craig hasn't, clearly. And Tom, no way, it's not happening. So there we go. But I really do like this album. Eyes of the World, I'm really kind of shocked neither one of you guys like that song.
No, I said I liked it.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. Yeah. My bad. I think that's probably the best track.
The best song on the album.
Track. Yeah, best song on the album. It's kind of, I guess you would say it's kind of attempt to be the Stargazer, or kind of the attempt to be Gates of Babylon, which you mentioned, Tom. Is it in that same rarefied air? No, it's not. It's you know, it's a sub-level down, but I think it's a really good song. I think fucking Graham Bonnet's voice on that song is killer, and it's maybe the vehicle to let him shine. I really love that song. That's an ultra mega banger on there. No Time to Lose, Barroom Rocker, not a good, very nondescript, not a very good song. Making Love, I kind of like Making Love because I like the riffs in it, but it's a solid track. It's nothing really, really great. Since You've Been Gone, it's a poppy radio track, and I have to admit, guys, I sometimes really like that 70s, early 80s poppy radio stuff. I just do. I make no apologies for what I like, and I know you guys won't hold me to it, although I'm now forever known as Poser, Gas Masks, and Hand Grenades, I'm sure. Love's No Friend. I really fucking like this song. It's kind of the dark, bluesy, hard-rocking ballad. I think his vocals on it are killer. Great Richie Blackmore solo. I even like Danger Zone, man. That chorus is made for radio, but it's got that Arabic neoclassic harmonic minor thing going on. Cozy's fucking killer on that song. No matter what Draper says, I like this song. I'm just saying. Tom's like, man, I'm never coming on your shit again. Lost in Hollywood, yeah, it's kind of, again, that it's got that barroom boogie thing, foot stomper, fist bumper thing. It's okay. I don't love it. again, as I said, no one's going to replace Dio. You can't trying to compete with the legacy of Dio in this band. It's impossible. You just can't do it. Sabbath was a different animal, but I actually tend to favor the Dio Sabbath albums over the Ozzy albums. I know that's sacrilege, but I just think the songwriting Dio was better than Ozzy. I'm not a massive Ozzy fan, but I do like Sabbath. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how I went off on that tangent, but Dio's Dio, man. He's the alpha predator in metal. He's just the guy. You're gonna not like me, Tom. I'm going an 8.25 out of 10 on this album. I can see it on your face. You're like, what the fuck?
Are you fucking serious?
I like this album, man.
Okay.
I'm very serious. I like the album. And I love Graham Bonnet because I loved him in Alcatraz. I loved him in Shanker. I don't know, there's something about his voice I just fucking love. Yes, it's a play for radio. I don't mind it as much as you two guys. Sorry. All right, so
I never said that I don't think Graham Bonnet is a good singer. He is a good singer.
No, I didn't say you said that. I said I like him a lot. So it's like, I don't know, man. I like this album. Yes, the songwriting is a little bit more bland than, certainly comparatively to the other stuff, but I just don't hate this album like you two got. Well, not so much Craig. Craig's kind of ambivalent. He's kind of like, I could give or take it. It's not that great. Tom, you're a flat out 2 thumbs down. So I get it. I was a little shocked you are going to pick that as your second worst album. That surprises me a little bit, but so there we go. We're moving on to this one, which is Difficult to Cure, a Hypnosis album cover, one of the last. This comes out February 9th, 81. Recorded at Sweet Silence Studios in Copenhagen, Denmark. I'll bring you up in a sec, Tom. Kingdom Sound Studios in Long Island. It's on Polydor. Roger Glover again. It was the first album to feature Bobby Rodinelli, who I believe. Who's he playing? Is he? No, I was going to say he's with Lita Ford, but he's not. That's Bobby Rock, isn't it? On drums, Joe Lynn Turner on vocals. Cozy Powell and Graham Bonnet, respectively, left following the release of Down to the Earth. The album marked the continuing commercialization of the band's sound, with Blackmore once describing at times his appreciation of the band Foreigner. Oh yeah, we hear a lot of Foreigner here. It became the band's highest charting album on the UK album charts, where it peaked at number 3. Writing the album's material was begun with singer Bonnet still in the band, progressing as far as recording an early version of I Surrender before Bonnet left the band due to his dissatisfaction of the material. Numerous fallouts with Blackmore. American singer Joe Lynn Turner, formerly of Fandango, was recruited and sang over already completed musical tracks. Turner stated that because of this, he was singing in a higher key than he would normally do and would do subsequently. Allegedly, the album's cover, designed by Hypnosis, had originally been proposed for use on Black Sabbath's 78 release Never Say Die, which we all know how cool that cover is. So again, we got Richie Blackmore guitar, Don Airy keyboards, Glover bass, producing, Rodinelli on drums, Joe Lynn Turner on lead and backing vocals. I can't wait to hear this. I think we're starting with Tom on this one here. This should be good.
Also, engineer on this was a young Flemming Rasmussen, who we all know from working on Red Lightning and Master of Puppets.
All right, what is going on here? I can't move you guys. What the fuck? Oh, hold on. It was freezing up on me. Just give me a sec here. So I think you're up, Tom, right? Yep.
Yeah. So like I said, Flemming Rasmussen engineering. I think that probably helped. I don't know who was engineering on Down to Earth, but thank God he's gone. Opens up with another Russ Ballard track, I Surrender. Again, Richie outsourcing the songwriting. Good choice. It's one of their best songs. I think Spotlight Kid follows up really nicely. Another of their best songs. I think Blackmore's guitar playing on that is fucking killer. It's carrying on in the same kind of vibe that we've heard him play on stuff like Kill the King in the past, I think. Very similar tempo. Like, just exciting guitar playing going on there. Like, the whole keyboard and guitar duel is really cool. Like, the tone is a little dated, sure, but on the keyboards especially. But, Don Airy's a great player. And I think it's cool that Blackmore gave him a really good opportunity to shine there. Then there's that really fast unison section. Like, I've spent years trying to play that, and I can't. And I will say that when I saw Rainbow in 2016 and 2017, Richie can't play it anymore either, which is probably why they didn't bother taking that tour out to a wider audience, like coming to the US and stuff. I flew to Europe twice to watch that.
Oh shit!
On the gentler stuff like Catch the Rainbow and Mistreated, he sounded perfect, but he can't really, either he doesn't want to or he can't play stuff like Burn and Spotlight Kid. Like
The really fast alternate pick stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably more that he just can't be bothered than he can't. I'm sure he's still got the technical facility, but that whole thing seemed like he was getting paid a lot of money for doing it.
Is this was this with Romero?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
How did Romero stack up? I've heard some of the live stuff. He sounds like fucking Dio.
Yeah, he covered all the material really, really well. I thought he was great.
I don't know if you guys know. Do you guys know who Johnny Joeli is?
No. Oh yeah, he's the Hardline guy. Yeah.
Hardline. Yeah. Do you know Johnny Joeli, Craig?
No, a singer?
Yeah, he sings with Axel Rudy Pell, and he was on that album with Neil Sean called Hardline. They did Hot Cherie.
Yeah, not familiar with him, but the other guy that you're talking about, I did see some live stuff of him. The guy that you saw, Tom, and he was the Romero guy or whatever. Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, Johnny and I went to high school together. He was a year behind me, and he went off to L.A. with his brother to form this band called Brunette, which became Hardline because his sister married Neil Sean since divorced. I think Neil's on like his 8th wife or something like that. There goes my opportunity to interview Neil. But Johnny would have been a perfect freaking fit because he sounds like Dio, man. Like so much so. If you don't know Axel Rudy Pell, go check that out because it's fucking castles and mysticism, and it's all the things Dio was doing in the 70s and 80s with his own stuff in the 2000s, 90s and 2000s. Just a thing. Sorry about that. So back to you, Tom.
Yeah, my final thought on that reunion live album, like a live situation while we're thinking about it, is that he really let it down badly with the rhythm section. He picked a drummer who didn't even bother playing the drum intro of Stargazer and the bass player.
Wow.
Like going boom, 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 boom. Like wasn't driving it at all. The whole thing was like, it was limp, which was very disappointing given I spent so much time and money and effort on going to watch it twice. But at least I can say I saw Richie just like 40 years after Craig did when he sucked.
Yeah, a little too late. You were a little late in the game, right?
Yeah.
Craig, did you only see him the one time?
No. I saw him. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You said you saw him with Bonnet, right?
Yeah, I saw him on all the tours. I mean, I saw the Down to Earth tour.
I never saw him.
Saw the Difficult to Cure tour. Saw the Straight Through the Eyes tour.
Okay.
I saw Perfect Strangers, and when I saw Perfect Strangers tour, Made in Japan is my first album I ever bought. So when I was a kid, like Tom was saying, if I could go back and see a show or whatever. When I saw that Deep Purple was reuniting with all original members, and I saw them play in '85, it was kind of like a dream come true for me. And they had a lot of integrity, and they were really good.
That was when Gillan could still sing, I guess, right?
Yeah, he could.
Okay, Tom, sorry about that. Go ahead. Keep interrupting you. My bad.
I haven't got any notes on the release, but I know that the song Magic, I thought it sounded a little bit too poppy to really be their own composition. And I was right. It was written by a guy called Brian Moran, and the Japanese record company decided that should be a single. And I really don't. Yeah, that's a bit wishy-washy for me. So that song could have been released by any number of like crappy generic bands, and it's a shame that Rainbow ended up doing it. I think Vi like das nächste Mal, maybe next time, is my note is it's a pleasant instrumental with cheesy chords and keys. Feels like filler, but a lot better than the last two songs. I think Can't Happen Here is good. That is a really strong song. Joe Lynn Turner, if he just put his own vocals on a virtually finished track, he did a great job on that one. Freedom Fighter, I wrote, sounds like a bad Queen song. Midtown Tunnel Vision sounds like a shit Rock Candy by Montrose. And Difficult to Cure, it's really goofy, but it's incredibly well done. Like Richie obviously wanted to show how much he's really influenced by classical music. It's goofy, but it's fun. I think it's the nicest thing I can say about that track. I'm holding in my hand here the Jealous Lover EP.
Yeah, I didn't actually listen. I ran out of time. So what's your take on those two tracks that didn't make the album?
Jealous Lover would have been one of the best songs on the album if it had been on there. Jealous Lover is a fantastic song. It's on that Greatest Hits CD, the very best of Rainbow. So it was one of the first Rainbow songs I actually heard. I think that's got a lot more integrity than the stuff he was outsourcing to other writers. It's got a more timeless production because it's like the strings are very subtle. It's just like keyboard patches and stuff, and maybe like a synth for a lead, but it's not as like drenched as some of the other songs. It's got a slightly more timeless quality and a good vibe. Yeah, I think it's a real shame that track, Jealous Lover, didn't make it onto the record because it would have probably lifted the score by a whole number.
Of course, I didn't listen to it. I may have heard it in past. It's not on the greatest hits, right?
It is on the greatest hits.
Oh, it is. Then I have heard it. I just don't remember it because
it was the B-side of it was the I've got it listed on the greatest hits. It says it was the B-side of Can't Happen Here, but that's not the case. It was the A-side. And
it was the EP. Yeah.
So the final.
The only way I think that the only way you can get that EP, it's never been issued on CD as far as I know. You can only get it on vinyl.
Cool. Yeah, my final note on this album is the good moments are great and the bad moments are cringeworthy.
Yeah, you're not gonna like me again, man. My credit is going down the drain, but we'll see when we get there. Craig, how about you? I can only imagine.
No, things get picked up. He gets a better band. And Swift-O-Matic over here, I'm looking at the comments. They said, love Dio, but the whole Dungeons and Dragons themes are getting a bit stale. This album was really fresh. Blackmore knew when to evolve. So that's the last thing you said here. Blackmore knew when to evolve. So I think he was trying to evolve, and I think that is a good thing. And he didn't really evolve too much with Down to Earth, but he evolved with this album. And he got great players, and what a great album cover, Hypnosis. I mean, love the album covers that they do, the strange stuff. And we got Roger Glover still in the mix, and they're writing together. I think it's a good thing. I Surrender. It's a great tune, man. It has pop sensibilities. Again, Richie's trying to get on the radio. He's trying to get on the radio. He's trying to keep his integrity, for the most part, for stuff that he does. Because when he gets on the radio, he wants to be known that he still has some integrity. I think he's figuring that out. And I Surrender is a great tune. Joe Lynn Turner, man, what a great singer. He fits into Rainbow very well, man. He's got a good voice. He's got some souls, just an easy listening rock and roll voice. So I think that having him in the band was really great. Spotlight Kid, I like it. I think it's a rocker. No Release, was that kind of this bluesy, swampy thing? Is that can't remember. Kind of like a yeah. And not bad, very tolerable. Magic doesn't do it for me, just like Tom says, don't like it. The instrumental on how do you pronounce that, Tom?
Vielleicht das nächste Mal.
Okay. Vielleicht das nächste Mal.
Nächste Mal. Yeah, Mal is time, next is next.
Okay, so all very German to me.
Maybe next time, right?
It's
German. You see, German is not up to snuff, but it's great, man. We talked about Richie's slide work, and it's a great tune, and it's got a very milky slide playing that sounds fantastic, and it's instrumental. Maybe he's getting this new band, and he's not getting enough material that he wants, but they want to put out an album every year. So that's why we throw in these instrumentals. And, sometimes I'd rather just hear an instrumental end one of the sides of the album than throw in another shitty song like Magic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm okay with that. Can't Happen Here. I think that was just written by Roger and Richie. I like it. It's a good tune, good rock tune. Freedom Fighter, just like Tom. I'm kind of with Tom on this stuff. Doesn't really do it for me. Midtown Tunnel Vision, all right. And Difficult to Cure, again, inside 2 with an instrumental that's showing off all his classical work. And I mean, everything that he can do is just, just his amazing guitar playing. And he's starting to, showcase all that sort of, classical stuff that he can do by actually playing a classical piece. So I'm impressed with that. I think it's a good album, and I think I like the lineup. I saw the tour, and I like Joe Lynn Turner.
Yeah, I had not listened to this album in many, many years, and I kind of went into it kind of expecting to not like it much, and man, was I wrong. I really like this album. Poser alert. Man, I Surrender. Russ Ballard from Argent, who did, Back in the New York Groove. You Can Do Magic. What's the other big one he did? Something Going On from, what was her name? Agneta or Frida or whatever the hell her name was, the chick from ABBA. Something Going On. That was him too. Dude knows how to write a fucking hook. Holy shit. I hate to admit it. I pretty much love this song, I Surrender. Love it. Love it. Make no apologies for it. Spotlight Kid, fun, radio-friendly track. Has some patented double stop stuff going on with Richie and a very earwormy chorus. No Release. I hear a little bit of Robin Trower in that beginning, man. It's just got that swampy, roto vibe, cool fucking, dark sort of mystical feel. Chorus is solid. It's a big riff, bluesy rocker that's, again, Hendrixy and Trower in there. Great performance by Turner on it. Richie Blackmore's killer on it. I like that song. Magic, super fluffy 80s radio hit attempt. Not great. Too much synth. Way too much synth. Maybe next time. Really cool soloing vehicle for Richie to kind of go off on. It's short. It's not, super long, which, it would have kind of been to have two tracks like that on the album that are 6+ minutes of jams might have been not the right way to go. But it's a cool song. Can't Happen Here, man. It's, it's an attempt to get on the radio, but it's a good one. And what's really cool about this, man, is if you check out the lyrics, man, the lyrics are so prescient for today. And we're talking 1981. So we're literally talking 40+ years ago. And you're talking contaminated fish and microchips, huge super tangers on Arabian trips, oily propaganda from the leader's lips, all about the future. There's people over here, people over there. Everybody's looking for a little more air, crossing all the borders just to take their share, planning for the future. And again, in the chorus, which is, we're so abused, we're so confused, it's easy to believe that someone's going to light up the fuse. Can't happen here, can't happen here. All that you fear, they're telling you can't happen here. I mean, is that what we're living in still 40 fucking years later? You bet it is, man. Just look what's going on right now in this world that we live in. It's a scary fucking place. I mean, it is a scary fucking place.
History repeats itself, doesn't it?
It sure as fuck does. And I don't know, Craig, you don't have kids, right?
And no one's taking notes, either. They
don't want to, man. But
no.
You guys both don't have kids, right?
No.
Okay, so I speaking as the only parent here, and I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy for 1 second. I have 2 kids that are in their mid to late 20s, and I fucking fear for what could happen in the next year or so in this country, man. Fear it deeply. So there's that, and I think people that know me know where I lie politically. It's generally in the middle, but on this I'm not there. These lyrics are fucking intensely there. You got satellite spying for the CIA, the KGB, which isn't around, but it still is, and the Men in Gray. Wonder if I'm going to see another day somewhere in the future. That shit is real, man. I don't want to be a conspiracy guy because I don't like that, but this political climate we're living in, what's going on in Israel right now, scary. Anyway, lighten it up here. Freedom Fighter, guys, come on, man. That chorus is great. Oh, it's great chorus. Down, 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 down. Love it. Love that song. It's poppy, big hooky chorus. I love that track, man. And I mean, I know it shreds my metal cred, but whatever. I'm almost 58. I don't give a fuck. But Midtown Tunnel Vision, good song. Snarling, kind of bluesy, Trower-esque romp with some good guitars. Got to admit, I really like that track a lot. Difficult to Cure. It's his neoclassical attempt to take on Beethoven's Ninth, right? Which I'm not familiar with that one before. But as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, okay. And this is the one where he's really playing a lot of slide. It's almost all slide. and it's a lot of single note stuff, and it's that real slippery kind of riffing. So again, this of course is where the band starts to become foreigner. I mean, Joe Lynn Turner has a very Lou Graham-esque sort of vibe to his voice. Maybe a little less raspy, a little more smooth, but it's there, man. You cannot mistake how much that's there. And I read somewhere, I didn't know where I got it from, but Richie Blackmore loved Foreigner, man. And, you know, come on, seriously, like, who doesn't like the good Foreigner hits? I do. I don't know about anybody else. I don't own any Foreigners other than the greatest hit, but I mean, I probably had Agent for Provocateur back in the day.
Foreigner's good for the first 3 albums.
Oh yeah. And then they would do the big hits, like Agent Provocateur had, you know, Want to Know What Love Is, but it also had that killer track on it. That was Yesterday, which was kind of a B side, and that track's good. But you're right. I mean, the first 3 albums are the shit. I'm going Joe Lynn Turner, man. What a great vocalist, man. He was great. I've seen some stuff of him now. He's still pretty good, but, you know, very AOR. He brought that AOR flavor, but it's a good one. So I got no qualms about giving this an 8 out of 10, man. I really like the album. I know, man. It's funny. Well, anyways, we'll move on. So we
real
talked
quick,
about
side note, Bobby Rondinelli,
right.
great drummer.
Oh yeah, powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful drummer. We said about the Jealous Lover EP, never issued on CD, though. They're all the songs are on the 12-inch EP released. Never mind. I'm going to move on from that. Cover art featured the same hypnosis used for the album with a different background, available on CD as part of their other. It's on CD on part of other albums, like Tom talked about. So, all right, I do not own this next one. Straight Between the Eyes. There it is.
Kudos to Tom for having the LPs.
I kind of like that artwork. I don't know about you guys.
It's
what I really like is the rainbow in the eye.
Yeah, it's a hypnosis again.
Yep.
It's not as good as Difficult to Cure.
No, I agree. Tom, you're up, I believe.
Okay. I like the first 2 songs.
And that's it.
A lot. No, I feel like the overall quality of this album is higher than the previous 2, but I feel it's got fewer standout tracks as well. I think Death Alley Driver's cool. Stone Cold's nice. Power is pretty catchy. Like my notes I'm saying here is it's very formulaic radio rock, well executed, and there are a lot more basic rockers in inverted commas on this album than any of the others. But yeah, I feel like it kind of, yeah, this feels like a kind of 6 to 7 out, a solid 6 to 7 out of 10 the whole way through to me. I didn't see Flemming Rasmussen's name on the engineering for this album. I don't really know why. Like maybe because he is back on Bent Out of Shape for some reason, but not this one.
Yeah, this is all pre-Metallica.
Yeah, 82 this one, so still before I was born. Man, I've only been alive for like 2 of the worst Rainbow albums being released. That's depressing.
Born too late.
Listen. Here's the deal on that. If you were alive as long as Craig and I were for all of the Rainbow albums, that means you're one step closer to a casket. Just saying, it's the reality. You know what I mean?
I'd take it.
Craig's like, "Fuck, man! Did you just say that?" Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Stone Cold's a really good song. I like that one. Death Alley Drive is a good song. Power's a pretty good song, and I can't bring to mind what any of the others sound like. But I know that when I was listening to it a few days ago and making a couple of notes and giving it a score, I thought it was better than Difficult to Cure and definitely better than Down to Earth.
Wow. Yeah. That's strangely, I'm the exact opposite on this one. But real quick, Craig, before you jump in, let me do some quick notes. Came out April of 82, April 14th in the U.S. It just says April of 82 in the U.K. Recorded December of 81 at Le Studio. Anyone know what's famous about Le Studio? No? It's in Quebec. It's where Rush recorded all of their great albums, man. Well, not all their great albums. I take that back. It was where they recorded Permanent Waves through, I believe, Power Windows, maybe even up through the late 80s albums. I'm not sure. Which actually, I kind of wanted to draw a point about that real fast, which I'll do. Remind me of that, someone, please. Real quick on this, comes out in Polydor, Mercury in America, and Roger Glover again. Band's the same as has recorded Difficult to Cure, with the exception of David Rosenthal, who replaced Don Airy. The title allegedly came from a phrase from Jeff Beck describing Hendrix to Blackmore. In an April 82 interview with Kerrang, Blackmore stated of Mistreated, well, it's to avoid confusion that the Miss is written 3 times bigger than the Mistreated, but I expected we'll have someone who shall remain nameless coming up to say, I wrote that song. That someone was Mr. David Coverdale, regarding the 1974 Deep Purple album Burn and Mistreated, the track. Blackmore had this issue with Coverdale previously when a rendition of Mistreated was included on the Rainbow Live album on stage. I didn't know there was that animosity, but then again, Richie didn't go to the what was that thing? The induction.
Hall of Fame?
Yeah, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's the only guy that didn't show up to Spike.
That's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, Richie seems like he's probably not the most agreeable dude, but whatever. Who knows? I don't know the guy. So go ahead, Craig.
Okay, so I hadn't listened to this album. Really, I think I listened to it once or twice back in the day when it came out. I was kind of out by this point. But you know what? I gotta kind of side in with Tom. When I was listening to this, I was going, wow, this is kind of song track by track. It was kind of impressing me a little bit more than Difficult to Cure. And Death Alley Driver, sort of a rocker, barn burner coming out of the gate. Maybe it's kind of like his take of Highway Star in a way, you know?
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Exactly right. I've read that in interviews before that he was trying to write another Highway Star. He's like, oh yeah, I can do that, and then just start.
Yeah. And in some ways, it is kind of like that. And then it has the the keyboard one, and he comes in with the keyboards, and that kind of thing. So it definitely is a later attempt to recreate Highway Star. Stone Cold, great song, man. I mean, I don't care how popular it was. I usually don't like people's most popular tracks ever.
Right.
Yep. I'm tired of them. I don't want to hear them. They're often not as good as the deep tracks. I'm just a B-side kind of guy. But Stone Cold is just a great track. It's got a great guitar solo, a thought-out, perfect Richie guitar solo. And Richie can write a hit. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to give you a Richie solo, and he's going to give you everything that you like about his solos. And that solo is just kind of perfect in a way. Bring
that
on the
song,
Night.
If You Forgive Me, is a stone cold killer track.
Stone cold killer track, bro. And then
bro.
Bring on the Night. I kind of trying to remember what it sounded like. What I got out of this album is that I dug it all. I'm listening to track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Power is probably the opening track on side 2, I'd imagine. And then we get the Mistreated, Rock Fever, and Eyes of Fire, and I just kind of fall off. It just doesn't do it for me.
Yep.
I just think that they put all their best songs right in a row, and the last 3 go limp. Rock Fever certainly does, and Eyes of Fire is like a little bit better than Rock Fever, but it's not that great. But all in all, that's what I think about it. And I think that Difficult to Cure and this album are kind of the same as one. They have the same lineup and the same vibe. And Richie got on the radio, man. He got on the radio with Stone Cold, and it was a huge hit. And Richie was the type of guy that was in control of everything. He was a smart person. He had been in the music business for years and years. So he owned his publishing. He owned everything. And I think he made some money off that track.
A little bit, you think?
Yeah, I know, dude.
I think we'd all like to have been Richie Blackmore writing that song. And look, there's no denying that those riffs, those double stop riffs, man, are just so ear catching. The melodies are so entrancing. The solo, like you said, Craig, is just one of his best solos. It's just got that smoky. Oh man, it's just it's a fucking amazing song. For me, I agree with you mostly that it's front loaded on this album. I think that Death Alley Drivers, like you said, it's kind of his attempt to recreate Highway Star a little bit. Not quite as good, obviously, because Highway Star is, a monster badass track. And it had John Lord and Ian Pace on it, and Ian Gillan. But it's a killer song, and then you got Stone Cold, man. That is just, it's one of my probably top 5 Rainbow tracks, or outside top 5. It's so delicious, man. It's a delicious song. The flanging, I said here, if you hear this song and you say it's just all right, you need to have a mental health check. That's a true story. Bring On the Night, not a bad song, kind of a shuffle, up-tempo, mid-heavy rocker. That phasing and flanging effect is kind of cool. Blackmore's solo is cool, of course. Although, with that song, they're kind of creeping close to the Survivor sound, the Foreigner Survivor sound, Eye of the Tiger thing. Tight Squeeze. Ugh. But redeemed by Tearing Out My Heart, which might be my second favorite song, man. That song, dark, heavy ballad. Again, I hear Frank Marino and Hendrix, which is weird because, well, Hendrix makes sense because Hendrix is playing strats, but Frank plays an SG, so a very different tonal quality, but his solos just have that Frank Marino sound, that pentatonic thing on that song in particular. Love that fucking song. Power. Yeah, just mediocre track. Sounds like a bad Foreigner song. Not for me. Mistreated. Solid rocker, but it kind of plods along. I think I like it more after a couple listens because I did listen to this like 3 or 4 times. Chorus is pretty good. The vocals are great. Solo's great. Rock Fever, man. Wow. The ending's really annoying, except for Richie Blackmore's guitar. And I do like Eyes of Fire a lot. I think it's probably the second or third best song. It's kind of mysterious, dark, mystical sounding. The Middle Eastern vibe to it is, a Gates of Babylon or a Stargazer vibe. For me, this is a pretty big drop-off from Difficult to Cure. This is a 6 out of 10 album for me. It's got some really great songs and then a couple really pretty mediocre songs. So, for me, Difficult to Cure trumps it quite a bit. And now we're down to the dregs. This will probably wrap up fairly quickly here. We're up to this one here, Bent Out of Shape, which comes out September of 83, recorded May through June of 83 at Sweet Silence in Copenhagen. So there you go. It's probably Fleming Rasmussen, I'm sure. Although engineering anyways, maybe. Is he on there, Tom?
Yeah, engineered by Fleming, produced by Roger.
And then you got Roger Glover producing. It's on Polydor. Worldwide and North America, it's on Mercury. The cassette featured several longer edits compared to the vinyl version. It was recorded at Sweet Silence in Copenhagen in 7 weeks. Bent Out of Shape would be Rainbow's final album before their 12-year hiatus from the studio. It also proved to be the band's final studio album with vocalist Joe Lynn Turner, bassist Roger Glover, and keyboardist David Rosenthal, and their only one to feature Chuck Berge, who replaced Bobby Rondinelli. The album cover was designed by Hypnosis, and alongside Led Zeppelin's Coda, the artwork amongst the last to be created by the studio before disbanding. I got my notes, wires crossed. I thought it was Difficult to Cure, but it's this album here. I do like that album cover. It's kind of weird. It's very Hypnosis-y. I think that's all I got. Craig, are you up on this one first?
I don't know, but
do you want to be?
Sure. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. Yeah, I've been slammed. I didn't have time to listen to this album. I remember buying this album though on cassette when I was in Merida, Mexico in 1984, and it was like on a street vendor, and it was a bootleg.
Right, a bootleg, yeah.
And I listened to it off and on, and so I mean, all I can tell you is this, that I remember the song Stranded, and it was, this is again, Richie's attempt to get on the radio with some pop sensibilities. And, this is the time. It's like 1983. This is what's going on, right? And if you think about it, 1983 is when a lot of bands were trying to get, 80, 81, 82, 83. We're trying to get on the radio. Richie's a smart man. He was always ahead of the curve. So he was trying to do this for a while. And so it's finally happening for him because he gets a Street of Dreams, and that's a huge hit for him. Yep. And I think the biggest songs were Jealous Lover, Stone Cold, and Street of Dreams. Mm-hmm. It was a big tune for him. And it's not a bad tune, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't remember many of these songs at all. So I kind of didn't do my homework.
Pat, dude, tearing out my heart over Rainbow Eyes. I like Tearing Out My Heart. It's actually a killer song, but dude, oh man. I don't know. When we meet up again, it could get a little ugly. I'm just saying. I love you, dude, but come on now. We crashed, bent out of shape. I'm unsubscribing. Get ready, dude. It's coming from me for sure. This is a pretty shit album overall. I'm just saying. So there, I just jumped the shark. If you were in Merida in 84, you were probably coked out. Come on, dude. Come on now.
Yeah.
Are you fucking with my guests here? First of all, I don't know Craig that well. We've met really like once, but we've conversed a lot via Instagram and stuff. You were in San Francisco during the thrash year. You had bands. I don't want to know. It's none of our business, but come on, Pat. Seriously? Good Lord. Street of Dreams, I think it's a good song. Is it as good as Stone Cold? No, not even remotely so. All right, so we have to give Mr. Behrhorst a slight demerit there for not following through. So I guess if I'm not wrong here, you didn't listen to the last album at all, right?
No, I apologize. I didn't listen to it.
It's all right. You were getting it. You have an excuse. You were getting over jet lag for the last week or so.
Yeah.
Right, I can only imagine where this is going with you.
The thing I found most interesting about this album on the last re-listen was that Richie plays a bunch of riffs that he ended up recycling when he reformed Deep Purple. Like Can't Let You Go has definitely got elements of Perfect Strangers and Knocking at Your Back Door in it, like unmistakably, like literally like recycling the riffs. And there's one in the middle of Fire Dance, which he does 2 or 3 times, which is the main riff from The Battle Rages On. Like, so 10 years later, he was literally taking the exact same notes he's used in songs on this album, repurposing them for Deep Purple. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. He does that a little bit. He does that a little bit more than that, in my opinion. But every fucking guitarist rips themselves off. Let's be honest. We get into that thing where, well, not every guitarist. I mean, there are those guys like Holdsworth, but we all have those things that we go to that we think we're good at, or we are good at. You guys probably, but I mean, it's like Richie was very good at certain things. I mean, that double stop was a patented move by him forever, right? Started with Smoke on the Water and continued through Burn and through Stone Cold. And so, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm talking literally copy and paste, like the same fucking notes. Like, I'm not saying similar stylistically. I'm saying literally the same notes.
Oh, okay. Which song again?
In Can't Let You Go, there are bits of Perfect Strangers and Knocking at Your Back Door. And on Fire Dance, there is the main riff from The Battle Rages On. It happens 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
So I
You're not going to like this. This is really shows my illegitimacy as a rock fan. I don't even know Perfect Strangers or the like when they reformed and Blackmore went back. I don't, other than the one. What was the big song they had that was off the Perfect Strangers?
Perfect Strangers, the title track.
Oh, was it the title track?
Knocking at Your Back Door?
Knocking at Your Back Door. That's the only one I really know. I hate to be honest about it. In fact, I only own Burn, but I know In Rock, I know Stormbringer, I know that canon of. But I know, man, it's bad. It's the one band I've I've known for years because I do have Made in Japan, the double, but I just never picked their albums up. So
Storm Mirror is a great album.
I've been waiting for the box set
Yeah.
to grab a really good box set, and they've never had what I would call like a complete monster box set, with the exception of that clamshell one that went out of print really quick, and it was like stupid fucking expensive. Yeah, I know, man. I lost my cred. I get it.
You're fine, Jeff. But that's interesting. I think, Tom, that maybe he took those riffs and then he had to jump on the Purple ship quick, and then he probably could say, I can take a basic riff that's pretty good and have these guys collaborate on it, which are these like master musicians, and make it better than it might have been with those other guys, because those other guys were more, I don't want to, Richie was always kind of like, the trailblazer in a lot of ways, but the other guys are equals with Richie in Deep Purple, so he could probably take a riff and bring it to him. These guys have the right of collaboration to make a better song,
Oh yeah, I mean, totally. Like, Fire Dance does not measure up to the Battle Rages On. That Battle Rages On is completely superior. So it's a good thing that riff ended up getting a second chance at life.
I'll have to go listen to Perfect Strangers. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time I've never heard the whole album, so I need to do that. So what was the one after that? House of Blue Light?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then was there another one after that? Was there two with Richie, or did he do a third one?
Yeah, there was one that Joe Lynn Turner did called Slaves and Masters.
Slaves, that's the one I'm thinking of. Turner. Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Tom. We interrupted.
I Can't Let You Go and Street of Dreams. I like Street of Dreams a lot. There's a really nice Blackmore's Night version of that as well. There's nice Blackmore's Night versions of quite a few Rainbow songs. I know you meant, and Purple as well. They've done Soldier of Fortune. They've done 16th Century Greensleeves, Temple of the King. What was the one you mentioned earlier? Rainbow Eyes. Yeah, if you like that hardcore into the Blackmore canon, there's plenty of ways of hearing alternative versions of some of these songs. There's a weird track on this called Snowman Instrumental, which is actually a tune called Walking in the Air, which was written by a British guy called Howard Blake for a movie that was like an animated movie that came out when I was a little boy, which is called The Snowman, based on a book. Oh. It's a story about a boy who has there's a snowman out, builds a snowman out in his garden, and at nighttime it comes to life, and they kind of go on a magical adventure together. And in the morning, he goes down to see his friend the snowman, and the snowman's melted, and there's just like a scarf and a hat, and the things he used to make is the buttons and the carrot for his nose. And it's a really sad story. And
wow, that's interesting.
Walking in the Air.
I think that might be my favorite song other than Street of Dreams on the album. It's very different from everything Rainbow ever did. It's this really cool atmospheric instrumental. There's really cool. I love those mini Moog arps strings on there, and it's kind of beautiful. It's got a really beautiful sort of vibe to it.
He only takes one section of the song. Originally, it was sung by a choir boy. It had 2 or 3 different sections in the song. Blackmore just takes like one theme of it. It was also used by Iron Maiden on the Somewhere in Time tour, and they for the guitar instrumental section of the set, they called it Walking on Glass.
Wow.
Same melodies there.
Look at you, man. Nice
wow.
Little
learning something there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, sorry, PB Thal. I do think it's a bad album, though.
How about you, Craig? You done on it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about it. I haven't listened to it in years, so I don't know enough to make a valid comment on it.
Okay. Stranded. Man, I think that's a weak opening track. I just am not into that track. I'm sorry. Can't Let You Go. I like it. It's not horrible. Has an I Surrender sort of catchiness to it. Honestly, really solid Joe Lynn Turner vocal on it. I like the organ intro bit. Kind of Deep Purplish. Kind of dig this one. It's a tweener track for me. Fool for the Night, straight up Foreigner track, but not nearly as good as most of the Foreigner really good tracks. Only Richie's weird synth patch solo. Did you catch that? It sounds like he's doing one of those. Remember those pedals it would do in the 80s and even into the 90s? They would do like it would take your guitar tone and bend it into this MIDI synth sort of sound. Ugh, no, no, motherfucker, no. All right. Fire Dance, not a bad speedier hard rocker ballad, Lots of organ and synth classic motifs in there. Good driving song. It's a tweener track. Desperate Heart, I was like, okay, this is the major other radio track. I have to be honest with you. Initially, I was like, this thing sounds dated. And then I listened to it a couple times. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like it. Love Richie's solo on it. Not sure I love it, though. It's kind of a tweener, close to a banger, but not quite. Good track. Street of Dreams. I mean, it's the stone cold of this album. It's just got that thing, man. And Joe Lynn Turner's vocals on this song, absolutely money, man. That chorus is just, and the solo is killer. Yeah, I love cheesy. I love cheesy's 80s synth. I'm sorry, I just do. You know, hate me for it. Send your hate mail to Tom Draper. I'll get you his email address. Drinking with the Devil. Fuck that song, man. It sucks. Especially because I keep hearing Lou Graham singing on that song. It really puts me off on the chorus. It's a very commercial take, in my opinion, on Burn. Snowman, we just talked about. Super atmospheric instrumental. Really dig it. Make Your Move. What a way to close out an album. Not. Sort of reminds me of a bad mix of Farner and Billy Squier. Like, Billy Squier did it better. I'm sorry. Fairly lame closer. This is weak sauce. Not very impressive other than a handful of tracks. I'm going to go, I was going to go 5.5 on it. I'm not even going there. I'm going a 5 out of 10 based on the 4 solid tracks on the album. But in general, very weak commercial bland effort overall. And that leads us to the final album here. And we're doing pretty good on time.
There's another album after this?
There's one more, which you clearly aren't aware of, but you'll sit through this. I'm going to make you stay. Stay after school, Craig. You have to stay after school.
I will listen to Rainbow's shitty albums. I will listen to Rainbow's shitty albums.
Precisely. Your punishment, sir, is you're going to have to join me for this. Even though you did it once before. This is your punishment. You're going to have to join me for the Shanker Chapman era of albums. We're going to skip the 2 bullshit albums and the later stuff, but we got to do.
Yeah, you won't have to twist my arm for that, man.
We got to do these right here. We got to do them. So I know you did them on Zetro's show, but we got to do one on a gas mask. So Tom and I probably don't have a hell of a lot to say about this album. I'm going to do this real quickly here. And I'm going to skip you, Mr. Behrhorst, because
what does it look like? Does anybody have
I'm going to tell you. Hang on. I'm just very slow at doing this. Here we go.
You look at the CD there, Jeff?
I don't own this, and frankly, unless I ran into it at
there's no more Rainbow albums after this, isn't they? Don't they?
Nope.
He starts Deep Purple up.
Not yet. No, he goes back to Deep Purple, and then he comes back and does this one. Then he does Blackmore's Night with his wife.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, so this is Blackmore's. Notice it's back to Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Oh, I've seen this. And it is called
before. Stranger in Us All. And now we've got this comes out August 21st, 95. Recorded at Longview Farm in Brookfield, Mass, Cove City in Long Island. Sound on Sound, unique soundtrack in New York. It is RCA BMG, Pat Regan and Richie Blackmore producing, and I'm 99% sure that Pat Regan was either the bass player. I couldn't find it, but I'm pretty sure it's the Pat Regan that was the bass player in either Stone Fury or Icon. I can't remember which one he was in. The long story short, guitarist Blackmore put together a new lineup of the members of little known musicians in 94. Album was originally intended to be a solo album, but due to pressures from BMG, was billed as Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, making Stranger in Us All the band's first studio album. 12 years. As Blackmore decided to pursue different musical styles, forming Blackmore's Night with his companion Candice, now wife, Candice Night. This was his final recording as a rock artist for 2 decades. Until he put together a reincarnation of Rainbow in 2016, released a series of new singles. That's what Tom spoke to as far as seeing them with Ronnie Romero. On this album, we've got Doogie White, who's sang for fucking everybody. I saw him sing for George Lynch's Lynch Mob way back in, I don't even know when it was. It was after the first time Oni Logan left and Robert Mason left. Not a bad singer, but nothing really super amazing. Blackmore on guitar, Greg Smith on bass, Paul Morris on keyboards, and John O'Reilly on drums. Don't have any idea who those guys are. Yeah, Tom, what you got to say? Not a whole lot, I'm guessing. I'm going to wipe that off real quick.
Well, Pat Regan ended up producing quite a lot of the Blackmore's Night albums that came after this. The first Blackmore's Night in 97. Candice has a co-write on the opening track, Wolf to the Moon. So really, for me, this is like a Blackmore's Night album in sheep's clothing. It's like a touch of rock, but it's not really happening. I cannot stand the production on this album. The band has zero personality.
Yeah.
And the guitar playing is the only thing that would ever make me want to listen to this again. Like, I'm not saying that Doogie White's not a good singer. He is, but honestly, it sounds like he's doing his best Dio impression a lot of the way through this. Like, I know what we were saying earlier about, like, well, you can't follow Dio with anyone really. But it sounds to me like it's a very concerted and deliberate effort to try and capture the glory days of like Dio era Rainbow that just fails.
But it's nowhere near it, dude. There's not. You're gonna agree with me. Doogie White, solid singer. Does he sound like Dio? Not really. He's kind of he's a middling between Dio and Joe Lynn Turner, and with a little bit of rasp from Graham Bonnet. So he can do all these things, right? But all the songs are just, for starters, most of them are way too long for their own good. It's a 51-minute album. So you got, instead of 3.5 to 350 songs or 4.425 songs, now you got 5.5 songs. You got, 6 minute, 1 6 minute, 2 6-minute songs. And you're like, nah, just doesn't work at all.
There are elements that are good, like the note I made about the song Ariel is like, with 70s production and Dio and like the rising band, that could have been a really cool song. It's got that kind of Eastern Gates of Babylon Stargazer kind of feel, but in this production, it's just tepid. I think tepid is a good word for this whole album, honestly.
Can I ask you honestly how many times you listened to it? I'm just curious.
Twice.
Okay, I did too. And
so, like, Black Masquerade and Silence have both got some fun timing thing that's going on. Like Black Masquerade's got a riff that lasts 5 bars rather than 4. It's like, ooh, the musicians are counting to 20 rather than 16. That's fun. And Silence, like, the chorus is in 10. There's a bar of 4, then a bar of 6. But then it'll suffer. It must be keyboard brass on that song. Because it sounds like a fucking joke. It's like, what?
Yeah, the keyboards on this,
really bad.
Yep.
Whole of the Mountain King, the only note I've got is awful for that. It's like really terrible.
Well, let me throw this at you real quick. Have you heard the other version of it? Sabotage version?
Whose version?
Sabotage.
That's a different song.
Is it? I thought it was the same song.
Well, this is an instrument. No, this is an instrumental cover of, like, the orchestral Hall of the Mountain.
Yeah, but there's vocals on it, on this song, on this track.
Yeah, but it's not the same as the Sabotage one.
Okay, I thought it was the same. I was like, man, this doesn't even sound remotely like it. And Sabotage takes a giant steaming dump all over this song. But maybe it's my fault. Maybe I wasn't aware. I didn't know there was.
Sabotage did much more of a job of writing their own song here, I think. Like,
yeah, they did. They rewrote the song.
Blackmore just kind of keeps the main melody of like the modulates it a bunch of times, cheesy lyrics.
Terrible.
The one good thing I liked about this album was the way that he kind of bookended it, the whole recorded output of Rainbow, those new songs, with another cover of Still I'm Sad.
Yep.
Like,
and it's good.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Richie has a much, I don't know if his guitar tone's actually cleaner, but the production makes it sound a lot cleaner because it's such a sanitized production.
Yes.
It sounds like they purposely tried to isolate absolutely everything, and it's like using the height of like mid-90s tech. It's very common for people to say an album will sound dated because of its 80s production, but I think this album sounds dated because of its 90s production.
Exactly. Nailed it. I listened to it twice, and I'm struggling right now to come up with any melodies in my head that are remotely there. The only one, Cold-Hearted Woman's actually a pretty good song. The second track, it's kind of got that ripping guitar chorusy sort of thing going on. Wolf to
I
the Moon.
I have a note saying good riff for Cold Hearted Woman. That's the nicest thing I've said about any of the songs.
Exactly. That's the only one. That one and Hunting Humans are the only two on the album that I can go. And the last one, which is a cover, which they've already done. That's it. Wolf to Moon. Speedy Rocker has a bit of a swing, but Doogie, who sang for everyone, kind of comes off lame for this material. Hunting Humans, that's actually the most interesting track for me because it's weirdly, Tom, and you won't know, Craig, because you didn't listen to it, but it's got a weird fucking moving in stereo tempo. You hear that? Like that down, 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 down. It's weirdly got that stilted, where it works really well for the cars. It kind of comes in strangely here, and it's kind of cool. I mean, the licks are really good on that one. I like that one. Stand and Fight, blah. Aerial, not horrible, but not exceptional. Kind of seems like it's a super budget version of Stargazer with a little bit of Take Me Home Country Road. And I literally heard Take Me Home Country Road. Place I belong. It's like, fuck you, dude. Don't do that. Too Late for Tears. Oh. No. Black Masquerade, that's a good track. Decent track. You nailed that one. It's Richie's power metal symphonic track. Reminds me a bit of Axel Rudy Pell and maybe Euro power metal. Just not metal. Solid, but not my kind of thing. Silence. Holy fuck. Oh. Craig, I'm sorry for saying fuck so much in this episode, but I say fuck when I'm excited, and I say fuck when I really hate something. And I really hate Silence. That track is awful.
Sometimes that's the only word to express the feeling.
Exactly. Paul the Mountain King. Fuck that song. Except for, I think my buddy Johnny Joelli would have done better on here. Still, I'm sad. Okay, that's a cover of a cover. It's essentially a cover of a cover because they already did it on the first album. Probably the heaviest and speediest track on the album. Kind of the best solid closer, other than maybe Hunting Humans. Can't say I expected much from this album at all, based on how mediocre the last Joe Lynn Turner album was. But to be honest with you, this one's in that same realm. It's a 5.5 out of 10 for the most part for me, and that's based on maybe 3 really good tracks, 2 tracks, and Tom, you nailed it best. The production on here is just sterile. The whole thing sounds sterile. They all sound like they were an ISO boost mailing this shit in. Maybe we didn't really have, we didn't have Dropbox and we didn't have, digital back then. So it's probably an analog recording. But man, like you said, dated 90s production to the max. And I don't know, have either of you ever dove into any of the Blackmore's Night stuff?
Yeah.
I've heard of a couple tracks here and there.
Yeah, I have 2 CDs.
Like, yeah.
It's okay. I'm gonna go there. I shouldn't, but I'm gonna. Candice Night is the best thing about that band. Just because she's really easy to look at.
Well, what I was gonna say is, if you're gonna go check out Blackmore's Night stuff, you go watch it on video, right?
Right, of course. Exactly. There's a reason. She does have a beautiful voice, though. She really does. But it's kind of very. It's, you guys know, it's like if I really want to go to the Renaissance Fair, I'll probably just go to the Renaissance Fair. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what it is. So,
I don't think you can really say there's no good guitar playing in Blackmore's Night. Like Richie's playing medieval stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
So this Richie Blackmore's Rainbow 90s thing, then I don't have to go listen to it. It sounds like, guys, right?
No, like dude,
I wouldn't.
Anything else instead.
I'll admit something. If I find Difficult to Cure, and if I find this album for $2 or $3 in a cutout bin or a used bin, I grab it just to say, all right, I got them all. Would I ever play this album? Highly unlikely. So really, I just should take $3 or $5. I would not pay more than $4 for this. So, but I would actually walk outside with $4 bills and light them on fire just to kind of give it the real effect. So, all right, guys, let's do our ranking real quick, and we'll get you guys out of here at 240-ish or so. Tom, let's do you.
You want to do my full 8, or we just?
No, we're gonna go individually. Do you mind?
Okay, so I'm just giving you my 8th place now.
Give me your 8th. We'll roll through them quick in a few minutes.
Okay, with a score of 3 out of 10, Stranger in Us All.
Okay, 3 out of 10. You went even lower than me. So we got, unfortunately for Craig, he was a bad boy. He can only rank 6 through because he doesn't know the last 2 out. Well, I guess you could do 7 and down, right? Or no? No? Craig?
I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to keep track. So I have I'm going to give you my best album. Is that what I'm going to tell you? My favorite album?
Start with your least favorite.
Oh, my least favorite.
All right.
I guess I will say, well, the album
Tell you
that
what, we'll let you cheat, and we'll let you put the 95 album last. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'll do that, and then I'll do Bent Out of Shape.
Hang on, we're gonna go one individually here.
Okay, got it.
All right. So for me, I'm actually going. Believe it or not, I'm going Bent Out of Shape last. Bent Out of Shape. Okay, so Tom.
7th with a score of 4 out of 10, Down to Earth.
Oh, wow. Oh, dagger in the fucking heart, man. All right. Craig, you're going Bent Out of Shape, right?
Okay, I'll probably go for the next least favorite. Man,
well, you did give me Bent Out of Shape as number 7, right? Or is that
I
not
did,
right?
Yeah.
All right, so real quick on me. I'm going to go Stranger in Us All. Number 6, Tom?
Bent Out of Shape, 5 out of 10.
All right. Craig, number 6 for you.
It's gonna be hard. It's you're gonna think I got to go.
Is it difficult?
It's you know what? I'm gonna go Straight Between the Eyes.
Yeah, is it right between or straight? It's straight, right?
Straight Between the Eyes, yeah.
All right. I like if you guys ever notice, Tom knows this now, knowing me as well as he does. When I text him or we talk on Instagram about Stephen Wilson or whatever we're talking about. How about it, Tom? It's like you have to interpret every fucking word I say because I cannot spell for shit and I get autocorrect everywhere. So I have my own language in text. It's terrible. So I had Right Between the Eyes. I'm going number 6, Straight Between the Eyes. All right, Tom, 5 for you.
Difficult to Cure.
All right.
6 out of 10.
Mr. Behrhorst, number 5 for you.
Down to Earth.
All right. Where am I at? Okay. I am going to go Down to Earth as number 5. But it was really 4, and I just kind of switched it because I realized how much I like the next album a little better. Tom, number 4.
I put Straight Between the Eyes with a score of 7 out of 10 at number 4.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Number 4, correct.
I'll say Difficult to Cure. I'm going back and forth on some stuff, but even as much as I was bagging on Down to Earth, I kind of want to have one Joe Lynn and then one Graham Bonnet in my life for some reason. So
need a little Graham Bonnet in my life. So I'm going Difficult to Cure. I think that's the album other than the first album that I listened to the most, and I was kind of shocked by that. I'm like, man, this album is way better than I thought it was going to be. So, all right, we are down to number 3, Tom. Now it gets tough.
Yeah, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, 9 out of 10.
All right. Mr. Behrhorst, tough. It hurts.
I can't do it, man.
Dude, you can't pull a fucking Thin Lizzy on me again.
I can't do it. This is just insane. I'm gonna go Long Live Rock and Roll.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's incredible.
For me, number 3 is the debut album, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, just because of one song for the most part. I hate to say that. That's crazy. I'm such a hater on that song. Tom, number 2.
My number 2 is a joint first. It's Rising with a score of 10 out of 10.
Okay. It's a joint number 2, did you say, or joint number 1?
Both.
All right. I think we're both. I think we're all. Well, no, we're not, because Craig was a little bit outside the box here.
Well, I gave you Long Live Rock and Roll as my 3, and
right, what's 2?
this is even harder though than that was.
I know.
Something speaks to me about the first album, but something I got to have Cozy in my life. I mean, I just don't know, man.
So wait a minute, you got a little bit of Graham Bonnet in your life and a little Joe Turner, but you've also got some Cozy. Wow, that's an interesting night at home, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what to do, man. I'm gonna go Rising.
Okay, all right. I cannot fucking believe I'm doing this, man. I just motherfucker, man. I'm actually pissed off about this. I gotta go Rising as number 2. Like, come on, man. Like,
I know,
really?
it's incredible.
Like, I gotta go Rising number. Come on, man. Just seriously, is there a better album cover than this ever anywhere? I mean, can you think of any more iconic other than maybe Dark Side of the Moon? Maybe any others?
We're gonna have to go to therapy for this tomorrow, man.
Yeah, I just send the bill to Gas Masks and Hand Grenades. He won't pay it, I guarantee you. That was painful. All right, so Mr. Draper, where are you going with your number 1? It's got to be Long Live Rock and Roll, right?
Yeah, joint first place, Long Live Rock and Roll, 10 out of 10.
All right, joint first. This joint. Can I say the P word? Is that going to offend anybody?
Depends what it is.
Well, the PU word. You know where I'm going with this. Don't be a PU, all right? You got to go with one. You can't go with this joint stuff. Craig, you're going the debut, right?
It's speaking to me lately after I just heard all 3 of them for some reason. I'm just going to be different. So,
all right.
But
and I'm going to go Long Live Rock and Roll. Very shocking to me, but not shocking at all because this album fucking slays. It's that easy. At all 3 of these albums, this is rock royalty right here, man. This is rock and roll royalty, and it's I don't know about you guys. We've been planning this we tried to get it in before Craig went away, and all your schedules were pretty tough to work around, but you guys hung with me, and I appreciate it. I'm going to go to full view, and we'll get out of here. First of all, number 1, I can't thank you guys enough for doing this. Tom, what did I say? I said about 2.5, right?
Yeah.
I'm close.
Yeah, we knew we'd be lucky to get out of here under 3. But,
yeah, I'm within spitting distance, but it was tough. I think absolutely one of the most important rock bands in history. That triumvirate of first 3 albums they're the holy trinity in a lot of ways of rock and roll from the 70s in particular. And therapy for sure. I'm actually, they have those online things you can call out to, or the call-in hotline. I might have to, once we wrap here, I might have to call someone and
no, I'm going to call you tomorrow.
Say, man, fuck you. Are we doing this, guys?
Well, just real quick, going back to Rainbow, just want to say thanks for having me on again.
Love having you, man.
You're absolutely right. My favorite will probably change in 1 week, but so that was very hard to put the pressure on me. But one thing I think we learned about Rainbow is those first 3 albums, just like you mentioned a second ago, are very iconic. But one thing to mention is Richie, as what we learned as he went on, even though they were his hits, they were some of the best songs on the album. That's kind of interesting because sometimes it's the other way around for a band. So that was something to think about.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't think Stargazer ever was a radio song though, right? Because it was too long.
Of course not.
I don't remember.
We love it.
What's that?
That's why we love it.
That's exactly.
I want to say one more thing about Stargazer. When I played at Donington with Spirit Adrift this year, and we were line checking our stuff, and the guy shouts to me, "It's okay, stage right guitar." I played Stargazer, and it was really loud. And we were in this giant tent, and I could hear the guitar bouncing back off the other end of the tent, fucking hundreds of feet away. And people started going "Yeah!"
Yeah.
was like,
You
yeah,
got a killer feeling, man. That's got to be like one of the most awesome feelings, right?
it was fucking rad. Yeah, I was down tuned and with a much heavier tone, but my God, like it just felt good and right to just play that riff as literally.
What are you guys playing in? Are you playing in D or C?
We play in C sharp standard and
standard.
with a drop D.
Spirit covers it.
No, he just told me to line check my guitar, and I was like, I'm fucking playing Stargazer then.
Oh, I caught you. Love it.
It was just hearing it so loud and just like, I don't know, especially knowing that Rainbow had that historic performance at the very first Monsters of Rock at Donington as well. Just felt like that was my little way of saying like, thank you for letting me be here, and this is the solution.
That's special. That's
killer.
Yeah.
I was happy.
Two quick things to wrap up. One quick question, and then, well, two. The one is, are you glad we did this? Are you glad we revisited these albums? See, and that's the reason I do these, is to make myself go back and really appreciate how fucking epic some of these albums are from these iconic bands. I loved it, man. I wanted to keep listening to this stuff, to know every track, even the shitty albums. I was like, man, I really want to like these songs, so I'm going to keep going back. And yeah, some of them worked and some of them didn't at the end there. But man, the first three albums, and I actually really like Difficult to Cure and the Bonnet album as well. So I'm not a hater like Tom Draper. He's an absolute hater. There's no doubt. All right. Are we doing this? Are we doing this band, gentlemen? Are we doing it?
Yeah, but you're holding up the wrong albums.
Well, I don't have. They're all on here. That's
that's the box set. I see. Okay,
yeah.
I thought it was one of those. I thought it was one of those like weird.
No. It's
Shrapnel Records releases that they did.
Real quick, it's Phenomenon, Force It, No Heavy Petting,
No
Obsession,
Stop,
Strangers in the Night,
Say No More,
No Place to Run,
Say No More,
Wild Willie and Innocent, Mechanics,
Say No More,
Making Contact, and Misdemeanor. So I'll get something together and send out. Tom, you're out for sure on that?
Yeah, man. I've got Strangers in the Night, and that's as deep as I really go with UFO. I'm not going to listen to their entire discography.
I have to say, Tom influenced me this week. And this is absolutely 100% your fault.
Okay.
I will be sending you a bill.
Okay.
But I had to buy this. And I didn't intend to buy this, but I had to buy this.
Oh, Live and Dangerous. Yeah, the 8 CD set. Very good.
The 8 CD box set, which is coming from Jolly Old, because it's an import, which I didn't realize, but it's already on its way. I should have it maybe Monday, Tuesday, something like that. Gentlemen, you guys are awesome. I can't thank you enough for being here. I can't thank you enough for putting the time in. Craig, I'm glad you're back home safe and sound. You're a treasure. Even though my friend Rick didn't say initially, he didn't say glad to have you back. I'm glad to have you back. And Tom Draper, what can I say about Tom Draper, man? Let's just say this: we're happy that Donald Fagen is out of the hospital, right?
Long live the Don. Yeah.
Long live Mr. Fagen. He is a national treasure. We thank everybody that was in the chat tonight. Not a huge turnout. I'm a little disappointed. I thought we would have a bigger turnout, but I think this one will get some eyes. You never know, man. Like when you're a metal channel and you don't just do fucking death metal or black metal or, something crazy like that. Some of the people are turned off by it, but this is a foundational proto metal band right here. And if you don't like them, something's wrong with you. Really quick upcoming things. Oh, Tom, you got anything upcoming? You said nothing with Spirit Adrift, right? You have a gig with this guy apparently.
I am playing guitar with the Butlers at the Baltic Kiss in Point Richmond in the Bay Area on Saturday, October the 28th.
Now, see, man, now if I lived out there, you guys would be like, oh, Christ, it's that guy again. He's here. Run, hide. It's funny. I guess it was probably a good thing I didn't invite Lo Cicero because this would have been an easy 4.5, 5 hour trip. But speaking of him, I'm probably going to have Craig and Kayla on very, very soon to talk about Just the Dead. And probably we'll have Kayla on individually, talk about Witch Mountain and some of her other stuff because she's really amazingly talented singer. You guys you said you're playing Baltic Kiss.
Yeah, Baltic Kiss.
Is that where Contos is?
Yeah.
Contos the dude there?
Yeah, and then so that'll be fun, man. And then I go out. I leave the next day for New York, and then
What are you doing?
Going out, doing the East Coast with Handsome Dick Manitoba, doing songs of the Dictators, some other punk stuff, and that's
Where are you playing? Are you playing in Philly or Baltimore?
It starts no, we're doing it starts in New Jersey on Halloween night, and then we do mostly like New England dates, sort of like Boston, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, stuff like that. Yeah.
Where in Jersey? Do you know?
It's called Dingbats.
Dingbats?
It's not. It's like half hour to the city or something.
I think it's Haddonfield, I believe, or maybe I think that's where that's at. Man, I would love to come up, but I just don't see that happening, man. But
we'll hook up soon. We'll hook up someday, man.
Yeah, for sure. Tom, anything else? I'm sorry, other than the Butlers gig?
I'm playing at my friend's work Halloween party on the same day that we're rehearsing for the Butlers gig, like half an hour later in a slightly different part of the East Bay. So my hands are going to be shredded to shit by the time we get to that. And I think we're going to be wearing costumes as well. Drummer's going to be wearing a Cookie Monster costume. I'm going to go to my very first Spirit Halloween on Saturday to buy a costume and see what works. Like, wow. I could go for something that will completely compromise the guitar playing, which looks great, or something a bit more boring where I can still play guitar. I'm not sure.
Just get the Pilgrim hat. Get the Blackmore Pilgrim hat.
I have a suggestion. Go as Richie Blackmore. Get a leotard and a kilt and fucking, your little utility.
Get some white boots and then just take the guitar cable and whip it a few times and you'll be fine.
And smash up a Strat, yeah.
Hey, what's up, Robert? Good to see you. So you're doing the Handsome Dick Manitoba. Anything else big coming up for you, Craig?
No,
okay.
Not too much after that.
All right. I got a couple quickies here that I'll roll out and then we'll wrap it. I want you guys to hang for just 1 minute and we'll wrap it. For me, Sunday I should have a dad episode. I think it's going to be with Rick, and I think it's going to be on Def Leppard. And it will be me. I have High and Dry. He's got Pyromania going head to head. I win automatically. Also, I've got I'm working on getting the band Horrendous. Sounds like they're gonna join me for an interview. Derek Vella later in the month. Don Anderson later in the month. A couple other biggies. I'm hoping to get Greg McIntosh from Paradise Lost on that. I'm working on that. I can confirm that I do have John Levin on Tuesday next week, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. John Levin of Dokken, and then I've got on Thursday. I don't know if you guys know Caius. Caius Scott Reeder is a bass player from Caius. He's going to be coming in to talk about his solo album I think it's called Jacket Thief. It's cool, sort of breezy, sunshiny, sort of psychedelic, sort of cool album. I got to go visit a little bit more, but he's coming in Thursday night. I got to confirm the time.
Dude, you got to listen to the Sovereign Eagle album as well that he put out last year with some of his friends. That's really good.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
Scott Reeder. He made an album called Sovereign Eagle last year with Nate Bergman, Chris Way, and Jess Margera, who I think is Bam's brother, maybe.
Okay, is that Margera, the dude from CKY?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't CKY. Yeah, that Sovereign Eagle album is very, very good.
Is it stoner doom or what is it?
It's more straight up rock and roll. There's a cool cover of "There's No Way Out of Here" by David Gilmour on there, and their original stuff's great. I don't think anybody's really caught on to that band existing yet, but it's like CKY and ex-Caius. Like the pedigree is there, and it's a good album. It's one of the better ones I bought last year.
I'll check that out.
I'll check it out too. It sounds really good.
It is good, yeah.
What's the name of the record?
Sovereign Eagle. I'll send you guys a link to the Bandcamp in our.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I love
Somewhere
that.
along the line, be looking.
Yeah.
Probably in November sometime, hopefully.
All right,
man. Behrhorst and I.
I would like to get time.
I would like to get a third in, Craig. If you have anybody in mind, let me know.
It'd be you and me, and then one other person.
Yeah, if you have somebody really, that might really be in mind for that. I I'll have to look around, but I think, you know,
Well,
if you
Michael
know a guy-
Butler's a huge UFO fan.
let's get him in. Let's get him in. I'm down for it. I think there was one last thing. Oh, yeah, and Craig and I are going to talk about a guest that he's going to help me hopefully corral here soon, an interview that would be really, really cool. We won't say the name yet, but it might rhyme with Roz Pocket, something like that. We'll see how that goes. All right, guys, hang on a sec. I'm going to sign off. Thank you, Robert, for popping in late. Tim, thanks. Patrick, you probably left because we pissed you off because we like Rainbow Eyes and we didn't like Ben Out of Shape that much. So, Swift-O-Matic, thanks, buddy. I think Craig B. I know a guy named Craig B. I don't know who that guy is, but I think I know that guy.
I just wanted to participate.
And I think Rick was in earlier. He bailed. AZ Mick, how's it going? Maruki Yakin. Maruko Yakin. Yeah, I'm not even going to try it. Thanks for joining us. All right, signing out. Peace. Hang on one sec, guys.